interwebs and visiting business.louisville.edu. We're on the air today from 2:32 until 5:30 here on 1450 AM, 96.1 FM, streaming across the planet Earth and potentially beyond. You know us better as the Big X. Mike Rutherford back from vacay here, excited to be with you guys on another afternoon as we continue to roll on through the summer. Roman Kelly is here as well. Give a follow on Twitter at RomyBean. Big thanks to Roman for holding down the fort for the past week. We have much to discuss today. Things that I didn't get a chance to talk about last week. I will talk not as much as I would have last week about the Louisville baseball run, but I do want to sort of put a bow on that. We'll put an entire bow on the 24-25 U of L athletics season. We had the NBA season coming to a close last night. We've got the honoring of Tom Jurich going on this weekend, which, by the way, quick little programming note, we'll have Tom Jurich on the show tomorrow. Boom. Excited about that. Excited to talk to the man for the first time on these airwaves in about, 7 years or so. Excited for that. Lots of recruiting nuggets to get to. Basketball videos are in full swing. We've got summer practices going on. There is much, much, much to discuss. But before we do that, we got to say hi to my guy, Roman Kelly, who's producing the hell out of the show as always. And Roman, first of all, big thanks to you for holding down the fort last week. Happy to see you on this Monday. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great, Mike. Thanks for asking. Yeah, no problem. Anytime you're out, I'm going to try to do what I can to make sure our listeners, our loyal listeners who want to continue to listen, have a chance to hear something. I had a great week last week. I got to have a lot of special guests on. It was Louisville baseball winning actually kind of helped me out getting those 2 days off. It kind of messed up my plan, but there was a lot less hours I had to plan for, which is technically easier. And there's obviously the excitement with hoping we're going to win. But yeah, I had a great week last week, and then Friday, the start to a very long weekend. My alternator went out on me.
Oh no! Again,
Mike, it's kind of
car
ridiculous.
issues are ridiculous.
It's kind of I got the O2 sensor replaced a couple months ago, and the the valve seal gaskets replaced so I could stop leaking oil. And I took it to Honda World, and they kind of just did the diagnostic. So I didn't get anything fixed there other than the one little part that fixes the transmission, so my car started shifting correctly. We spent like $800, $600 at Honda World, and then we spent like another $1,200 with this boat mechanic who knew how to put O2 sensors in and change gasket seals or whatever. But we only changed one of the O2 sensors, so check engine wasn't permanently off from those fixes. It's kind of off. It doesn't come on all the time, but I think I still need one more O2 sensor fixed. About 3 weeks ago, a ball joint, something in my left wheel well is messing up. It's going bad on me. My power steering pump is going bad. My right rear window regulator is still bad. You guys know. You've known about that one though. I just haven't fixed it.
It sounds like we may just need to ignite this car and go on to something else.
Yeah. So then my alternator goes bad Friday night, and it's like I'm driving. All my gauges go to zero. Every dash light is on, but my gauges are off. Car is not. Once that starts, about 5 minutes later, gas pedal my throttle not fully engaging to give me power. Which is still just an alternator issue. Bought an alternator. Then I quite literally had the longest, most unproductive day of my life on Saturday. And just Cool Dad had a bad recommendation that led to car stuck on Foxton, had to get the jumper box, brought it back, car stuck on stilts, car stuck at the bottom of our street. Just a very, very long day Saturday to only spend $200 on an alternator that I actually ended up not completely starting the process of putting in. So wasn't able to figure that out on Saturday or on Sunday either. But I've got a mechanic buddy coming to help me out tomorrow night. Alternator is going to get taken out and putting in. Mike,
good Lord.
He's bringing his tools. Obviously, we've got a garage.
Sounds awful.
Yeah.
What the hell happened while I was gone?
We had Reese Gaines on the show.
Oh, well, that's good.
That was great.
That's at least a positive there.
Yeah, so that was cool to talk to him.
Producer Keith was on 2 days.
Yep, we had Chris Lamella in from the Vamos Morados podcast. Talked to him in Louisville City.
Nice.
We had Will Wigginton was in.
You had Sean Moth on.
Sean Moth was on as well. Yeah, we had a great week in the shows that we did have on. I thought they were great shows. I'm still learning how to host. It's tough because these were 4 hours of radio for me. So
I didn't know to feel bad when I saw the game times for Tuesday and Wednesday, and I assumed we weren't going to do the shows because we can't be in direct conflict with our sister station covers the games. So I didn't know whether to feel like good or bad for you because I texted you and I was like, well, it's less work. Typically, that's a good thing, but also like you wanted to host the show, and I know it sounded like you had a great Monday show, got the momentum going a little bit, and I'm sure you were ready for Tuesday and Wednesday, and then unfortunately those plans got derailed. So, like you said, made it a little bit easier, but also kind of wrecked the plans for the week.
Yeah. So everything kind of, like the Tuesday and Wednesday plan kind of got pushed to Thursday and Friday, which is fine.
Like what you get for being so good at sports.
Less planning, but still had a good amount of talk that we were able to do.
Well, that's good.
But yeah, had a long. I feel like the only reason it was really like a process is because it's 92 degrees out. Like my car is dying. I'm on the way to AutoZone. My dad he said, well, let's just go test the alternator and battery first to make sure I haven't messed something else up before we go spend the money on the alternator, which is a good plan. But with what I've already experienced in the car leading up to that moment, I knew I wasn't going to make it to AutoZone, and I didn't. And then he has these moments like, okay, where I kind of figure out what I'm going to do. Okay, this is right. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go spend this money. I'm going to go do this. And he's like, okay. And then when I physically start to go do it, he's like, all right, wait. So like, what's the issue? Like, what's happening? Like, let me make sure you don't mess something up worse. And
this kind of sounds like my wife.
And he's like, okay, yeah, go buy one, whatever. And then he's like, I wouldn't put it in there. It's 91 degrees. I wouldn't take yours out just because he knows I haven't really done something of that level in my car yet. Like I can work on dirt bikes, little small dirt bikes all day, Mike. But as soon as it's a actual vehicle, I'm like, okay, I know what each component is, and I know what it's doing wrong. Replacing the part to make it work right,
I hear you.
I feel like I'm like, if the car doesn't need to be lifted, I can do it. But the alternator is it's just one of those things where like, I have to take parts off that parts that aren't broken just to open up room to remove a part, right?
Look, it's hot. It's too hot to do anything outside.
Too hot for that.
Forget about working on cars. It's too hot to like sit outside.
Yeah,
and watch TV.
Walk outside. It's not. Yeah.
It's ungodly. I mean, we went to the pool yesterday. I almost felt like it was too hot to go to the pool. It's miserable out there. I hate getting home from vacation and feeling like 99-degree temps with humidity that feels like it's like 128. Just swamp ass at an all-time high. It's ridiculous out there. But still, I'm very excited to be back. I don't know how you feel. I know you took like you took like a little vacation last summer. We need to get you on a vacation now. You've earned it for sure. You took a little summer vacay with the boys last summer and came back. So I don't know how you feel when you come back from things, but like I enjoy the time off. Obviously, it's vacation.
Yeah.
But there is something about like I'm a creature of habit at this point in my life, and having that routine, having that regiment kind of grounds me. It's sort of like my North Star. Like I like it. If I get a little bit too off the beaten path, I kind of, I don't know. I get uncomfortable. So I do like coming back and getting back in the flow a little bit. The only problem with the timing of this specific vacation, and we do this with my wife's family pretty much every year, is like when I come back, I'm ready. Like, all right, let's go. Like, I'm refocused. I'm refreshed. Let's go. And then you come back, and it's quite literally the deadest time of the year.
Yeah.
for Louisville, baseball just ended, so there's not a lot to attack there. College basketball previewing stuff for the other job is not going to get really going for a couple of months, and so it's like, oh, all right. Thankfully this week though we've got plenty to talk about and plenty to attack. But there is something about like you come back, you're like, all right, let's go. I wish I could take this in like early September or late August, right before the start of football season or something like that. But we had a really good time. It was we go to Hilton Head every year, just about every year with my wife's family, and it's seeing the kids get older and having them be able to do more stuff down there and them enjoying the beach more and the pool more and all that good stuff. It's a lot of fun. The only thing that there were a couple things happen. One, so we drive down there through the night every year, and I like it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it takes a lot out of me. I'm tired the next day, got to rest. You have to kind of like recalibrate once that happens. But it's better than the alternative, which is driving down there when everybody else is driving down there and spending like an extra 5 hours sitting in traffic. So we drive down there through the night, listen to Sean calling the Oregon State game, which unfortunately ends with a bummer walk-off loss. I mean, I thought I was going to wake the kids up when we tied the game at 3. Like, Mary and I were like, come on, like fist bumping. And thankfully, I was able to hold it enough that the kids both stayed asleep. But it was nice that killed like 3 hours. But the drive down was fine. The problem is, anybody who's driven down this route, you go through Asheville, you go through kind of like the mountains on I-40. And if you follow the news, what was like 4 or 5 months ago, the flooding took out a bunch of I-40. Like it's very windy. You have to go very slow. It's kind of like a scenic drive, but like half of the highway got washed out by these floods, and so it's like half of it's gone. It's now single lane both ways, and so it takes a little bit longer to get down there because you've got single lane traffic. But while we were down in Hilton Head, part of I-40 got drilled with a rock slide because of more flooding in Tennessee. So I-40 was like closed on the way back, which meant not only are we driving through the night, we're driving through like rural Tennessee and North Carolina on these kind of, scenic outposts. So it's 2 in the morning. We're going like 20 miles an hour around all these curvy roads. It's classic mountain town. I do kind of like when we get thrown off the classic beaten path because you get to see parts of the world that, or the country at least, that you never would get to see otherwise. And it's insane. Like, every stereotype you could kind of see. Like, the moment we crossed from the North Carolina state line into Tennessee, there was this house built straight into the side of a mountain. And they had lights on their front porch that kind of illuminated everything, even though it's 2:30 in the morning. And you see, like, just crap everywhere, and then a rocking chair with a banjo leaning up against it. And I was like, this is like every television stereotype you've ever seen in your entire life. But the scenic route took like an extra hour and a half to drive. So we left at like, 8:30 p.m. from Hilton Head and got home at like 7 a.m. or 6:30 a.m., whatever it was. So that's been a little bit tough to readjust to, but thankfully we've done well there. But it was fun following the baseball team from a vacation. I had a little bit of extra work time, which was not ideal. But all in all, very, very good week. Virginia lost her tooth, Roman. The Tooth Fairy, thankfully, was able to make it down to Hilton Head.
That's great. It's a long trek down there.
Long trek down, but she does work in South Carolina as well. So she's well versed in that area of the country. So Virginia was very pumped about that. She like ripped it out. I think it was like the Monday morning we were down there. So we got that done. John was not as terrified of the water. Maybe he's fine. Just like sprinted into the waves this time. He was ready to go. Jumped into the pool a bunch. Had fun there. So it was a nice, relaxing trip. We had a good time, but very excited to be back, very excited to be talking sports, and very excited to get back into the flow here as now we count down the days. It turns from baseball to the countdown until football, which I believe now is at 68 days from game one, and it really feels real now that you've got the NHL playoffs done and the NBA playoffs done, and it's kind of like, all right, it's just we got Major League Baseball, we got a little bit of soccer. I'm following the Gold Cup, but this is the dead period of the sports calendar, especially around here. And now we've got to have some fun with it. And we will for the next couple of months until we get into the heart of football season. I do want to start off. I know that it's old news at this point. But I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't start today's show with a big, hearty thank you to everybody associated with Louisville baseball. Because it's a gift to be able to have your athletic program extend its overall season deep into June. To have meaningful, and we talked about it a little bit once we got into like the regionals, to wake up in early June, mid-June, late June, and have kind of goosebumps and have that feeling of I'm looking forward to a big U of L game is such a, I don't even want to say it's a bonus because it sort of feels like it's a smack in the face to the baseball program, but it does feel like a bonus, especially when it's a run that was not predicted by many people. I mean, I certainly did not predict it at all. But for them to go to Omaha and kind of, I think, capture the hearts of this fan base, not just because they made it that far, but because of the way that they played, was it was just so fantastic to see. And I think the timing of it all, the timing of it coming in the middle of a period where McDonald's Louisville baseball program was going through its first real dose of adversity since he got the job here in 2007. Could not have come at a better time. They needed a run like this to either kind of confirm that they were going to be back, or they needed to kind of just fade out, and we had the tangible piece of evidence that we needed to know that it's time to go in a different direction. And they did what I think everybody wanted them to do, which was prove that Dan McDonald and company have not lost it. They can't adjust to the NIL world. They can't adjust to the transfer portal world. The game's passed them by. It happens to all great coaches. All of that talk is gone now. It's gone. Now, of course, it can come back. You have a down season next year, 2 down years in a row. It can resurface. But for a run to the Final Four of the College World Series speaks pretty loudly. And I think it eliminates any of the talk. If they start slow next season, people need to be shushed. If they say it's time to move on, it's time to move on in a different direction. We can't, the program's falling apart still. This was the run that you needed to give the fans the comfort level that this program wasn't going to fall off moving forward. And it helped that they didn't just go to Omaha. And, they were the seventh choice. They were the biggest underdogs there besides Murray State. And I think it helped fuel the belief that this program can remain what it's been over the past 2 decades because they were able to go to Omaha and win a couple of games and be competitive in every game they played besides the one against Coastal Carolina. We're lucky, you have a better first inning. Who the hell knows what happens? But this was the confirmation that I think the fans wanted to see from Louisville baseball moving forward. And now it's you go to business as usual. You start talking about, hey, let's get this guy the funds that he needs to keep this going. Let's break ground on the new hitting facility. Let's break ground on those stadium upgrades. Let's make sure that we've got the NIL to continue to field competitive rosters moving forward. You start talking about who's going to come back and who's not, and that's just it's what we all wanted. Would we have loved to see them go the extra mile, make the championship series, win a national title? Of course. But for this team, which had been so infuriatingly bipolar for the first 3 months of the season, to find its groove at the perfect time and to play in a manner that I think made us all, they did all the little things that we want to see from all of our athletic teams. Forget about just baseball. As Louisville fans, we want to be the team that's always working harder, to be the team that's always grittier, all of those little intangible things, all those cliches. And this baseball team proved it time and time again. Didn't stop in that first game against Oregon State, clawed their way back. Didn't stop when looked like they were going to be a quick out against Arizona, clawed their way back, had the huge 8th inning to pull away. Clawed back against Oregon State again after seeming like they had blown that game against what was perceived to be a much better team. And then, unfortunately, ran into a red-hot Coastal Carolina team and didn't have the pitching to compete with them at the beginning of that game. But still, they finished today. The final national polls came out, I think, from Collegiate Baseball. And Louisville's number 4 in the final poll. They had 3 players made the all-tournament team, which was the most of any team besides LSU, which won the national title. It was a wonderful, wonderful ride, and I can't thank Dan McDonnell, the players, everybody associated with Louisville baseball enough for making that happen for all of us. Roman, you were here. I'm sure you guys were covering it, but to put a final bow on this, did Louisville baseball kind of reel you in a little bit? Be a little bit more of a fan now?
100%, Mike. I don't want to miss a game next year.
You're going to go to every game?
Every home game. I'm going to try to make it to all of them. Probably won't be easy, but yeah, I'm fully locked in. I want to see what happens going forward now.
I mean, that's the cool thing that happens when Louisville goes on these types of runs. Now, it became kind of old hat for a little bit in the prior decade, but it does introduce the program to a wider range of the fan base, and some of these names that only the diehards knew before you got to late May, early June, they become names that the fans remember. Like, you'll bring back guys from this year's team, and they'll become huge superstars on campus because of this one run, because of these 3 weeks. And I think you're going to see the fans really just embrace them. Now, I don't think it's going to be – Louisville baseball is never going to be a deal where when the season starts in mid-February, everybody's fully focused on Louisville baseball above anything else. It's not. It's that way in some programs in the SEC, but for us, that's the middle of basketball season. It's the biggest point of basketball season, and we're now back in a place where we expect to be focused fully on basketball in mid-February through whenever the run ends in the NCAA tournament. But I think the best case scenario for baseball moving forward is the fans are at least paying attention when they started in February. I mean, last year, hell, even though the program was down, we walked off Texas that very first game. There was certainly talk about that. There were people that were paying attention to how that baseball team was playing when we blew out Arizona and had such a good start in the Shriners Classic. But it's always going to be sort of a peripheral interest in those months. And I think that's fine. But you need to have at least the fan base's semi-attention. And then once basketball ends, I think we need to get back into the mix of the fans just sort of moving on to the next thing, which is baseball. And watching the team, I think that the Kentucky games are always strategically planned right after basketball season ends. You can get into those. That's an easy sell to the fan base. And then the ACC is such a strong conference when it comes to college baseball. You can hopefully sell the fan base on being able to lock into that moving forward. It was tough the last couple of years because the team just wasn't as good as we wanted them to be. But now, hopefully, you've got people back in the mix. And it was a wonderful end. Let me ask you this: I'm trying to remember when we go out. Is it 56 for this hour?
55.
55. It's gonna take a while now. Okay, I gotta get back in the flow. The U of L athletic season now has come to an end. You had football have maybe a good, not great year where they win 8 games in the regular season, win a bowl game. They beat Clemson. Had a bunch of what if calls. Had the bad loss to Stanford. You had men's basketball reassert itself on the national scene, go 18-2 in the ACC, make the NCAA tournament. The women's team, after losing in the first round for the first time in the Jeff Walz era, they go back to the tournament. They at least win a game there. Volleyball plays for a national championship. Baseball finishes in the Final Four. Men's soccer makes the NCAA tournament. Yeah, we had a national champion, multiple national champions in track and field. What do you give the overall grade for the 2024-2025 Louisville athletic season?
A-.
That's what I was going to say. I think it's tough to give it a solid A when you've got, football didn't make the playoff. Yeah. Basketball, neither basketball team made it out of the first weekend of the tournament. But it's hard to also just ignore how tough it is to be good across the board, which is what Louisville got back to being this year. There wasn't a sport that just embarrassed itself.
No. That football team went 9-3, and there's a game that we felt like we should have never lost, So,
yeah.
And then we're right there. Well, maybe not right there at that moment, but we're a lot closer to the conversation if you just go win a game that you felt like you were always going to win and that you lost.
And I think the exciting thing is now you look at, baseball should be good again next year. Volleyball should be good again next year. Those sports that kind of they're not the spotlight sports, but you can latch onto them when you're competing for national titles. Those should remain where they are. I think men's basketball is going to be better this year. I think women's basketball is going to be better this year. Football certainly has the opportunity to be better. I don't know if I'm going to predict that just yet. But I think you look at the landscape of U of L sports moving forward, and there's nothing that you're not excited about. I mean, maybe you get a little bit nervous about the weird landscape of the entire college athletic scene and our affiliation with a non-Big Ten, non-SEC conference. But right now, we seem to be on pretty good footing, and that's pretty damn exciting right now. So A-. Maybe we move on from there. All right, we got 3 o'clock hour coming up next. We'll talk a little about the Tom Jurge stuff going on. We'll talk about some of the other things that we missed and also get Roman's thoughts on last night's NBA Finals Game 7. It's the Mike Rutherford Show presented by United Mechanical, 1450 96.1, The Big X. Check up. Cal with the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical, 1450-96.1 Big X Sports Radio. The Game Day Men's Health text line already rocking today. If you've not hit us up, feel free to do so. 502-414-1450 is the number to weigh in there. Game Day Men's Health is redefining men's wellness. No shortcuts, just results. Testosterone, peptides, weight loss, and sexual performance therapy. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com. They're defining a new era in men's health. 502-414-1450. Roman, while you were gone, there was a big piece of local news that occurred that we're going to talk about a little bit today and a lot tomorrow.
When was I gone?
When I was gone, sorry. Slow Monday back. Slow Monday back. Didn't know that we spent like 5 hours at Lakeside yesterday either. It's like the kids were just like freaking out, like not wanting to leave. I was like, all right, well, what are you gonna do? So I'm sun drained. My sleep schedule is not well off. We're in a weird spot here mentally, but it's okay. I didn't get as badly sunburned as I was worried. To confirm all of the rumors out there, I did get sunburned, but wasn't nearly as bad as it has been in some years. You'd be proud of me.
I've actually got a terrible migraine right now, but I took some medicine. And
migraine's the worst.
Seems like it's going away a little bit. I'm staying hydrated.
Well, I'll try to keep my voice down for you. We'll try to make that happen. But a big piece of news that happened while I was away. U of L and Tom Jurich. The healing process is fully underway here. We're going to have, it's going to go down this Saturday morning at 10 a.m. You're going to have a U of L ceremony honoring Tom Jurich and the work that he did here. This was done with equal parts. The city of Louisville, Mayor Craig Greenberg played a big part in this. Also, U of L Athletic Director Josh Hurd played a big part in this. And they're going to name a section of Floyd Street on U of L's campus after Tom Jurich this weekend. And I teased at the beginning of the show, we're going to have Tom Jurich on the show tomorrow, 4:30. The former U of L athletic director is going to be on with us. He'll talk to us before he talks to anybody else about this. And, we'll ask him all sorts of questions. We'll talk about what he's been up to. We'll talk about his thoughts on what's happened at U of L since he left here. And certainly we'll talk about how U of L now is going to bring him back in the fold a little bit. Or at least, pay him the attention that and respect that I think a lot of people feel like he deserves. And maybe was not afforded towards the end of his career here. So it's been 8 years, which is crazy to think about. It'll be 8 years this fall since we had the monumental shift in the athletic program where Rick Pitino's fired, Jurich is fired, basically as a direct result of what was going on with the men's basketball program. And it's taken until, I would say recently, for the athletic program to really recover from that. You've had several moments where it felt like we were back on stable footing, but then, the Chris Mack era falls apart, and you've got more issues with the FBI getting involved in things there. You've got Scott Satterfield not really ever reestablishing stability with the football program. And now it feels like I said before the break there, it feels like this is the first time since all of that stuff went down where we're back in a place where everybody can feel excited about what's going on across the board with U of L athletics. That's how much it took out of us to lose Tom Jurich, who had basically built this into a national powerhouse during his 20 years in the job. And I think that it was time to kind of let bygones be bygones. I know it's still a little bit of a touchy subject around these parts, but for me, you cannot tell the story of Louisville athletics without Tom Jurich being directly in the center of most of the positive things that are going to be discussed there. And if you want to talk about the way that things ended and some of the bad things that happened, I still think that those things are dramatically outweighed by the good. And I'm glad, I hope we get to this point at some point with Rick Pitino, too, where we can say, even for the folks out there who maybe are like, rolling their eyes, thumbing their nose at stuff like this, there needs to be a reconciliation before it becomes too far gone. Because these guys gave us all some of the best memories that we've had as Louisville fans. And for Jurich, it was, men's basketball was already established. It was too big to fail at that point. I think he made the right move in going with Rick Pitino over Denny Crum back in the early on in his career. But his big legacy, I think, is going to be everything that happened outside of men's basketball. Women's basketball had never been to a Sweet 16 before Tom became the AD. We know what they've done since then. Baseball had never been to the NCAA tournament before Tom became the AD. We know what they've done since then. Volleyball, men's soccer, football, taking things to another level, across the facility upgrades, all of that stuff. It happened under his watch. And to just act like the man didn't exist for the past 8 years, I think, is doing nobody a service. So I'm excited to have Tom on the show tomorrow. I'm excited that this is going to be kind of put to bed finally, and that we're going to get him back in the city of Louisville. I wonder if we're going to get, at the very least, a statement from Rick Pitino, if he says something. He's been talking about for a long time. I'll go back to Louisville. I'll talk about Louisville. I'll do whatever with Louisville once they honor Tom Jurich, give him the respect that he deserves. We're doing that now. I wonder now if you get Rick back in the fold. But Roman is sort of a younger guy, younger than I am, younger than maybe some of the listeners out there. What does this do for you, bringing Tom Jurich back in the fold and giving him a little slice of Floyd Street in his name?
I don't mean this in a bad way, Mike.
Sure.
Nothing at all. Because it's partially, like, I don't think there's a lot of people like this, but a lot of my friends and me personally, like, I stopped paying attention to anything off the field or court for any sport for U of L in around 2016, 2017.
Because of all the stuff going on?
Yeah.
Sure.
And after, like, post-Lamar. Once we got rid of Lamar, or not, once Lamar got drafted, and you lost that kind of excitement about U of L basketball, the other stuff that actually was the non-results from the teams became a lot less important with me and my friend group. It wasn't the thing that we came in and discussed every day at school and stuff. And then obviously you get older and you start paying attention to the things that, like, you go to college, and it was just a weird time frame that we stopped paying attention to those things right when this kind of all happened. So I don't know much about him, Mike. Like, when he was at the peak of his powers here, I was too young to really care. And then right when I started caring about those kinds of things more so, me and a lot of people that I was close U of L fans with, we kind of got removed from that kind of thing, that kind of stuff being important. So I hate to, like, I hate when these kind of things get brought up, because I know that I don't know the significance to this, Yeah, I mean, I know the facts, and I get, like, why they are, like, that makes sense, but I just don't know, like, what the atmosphere was like when this all went down. So.
Sure. I mean, I think there's a generational divide when it comes to stuff like this. So Jurich got the AD job in '97. I'm 12 years old at that point. So I remember a little bit of what life was like before Tom Jurich, and I certainly remember a lot of what life was like in the early days of Tom Jurich. Like, people who are 15 years younger than I am, they don't. Like, so I think with you guys, there's a general sense of you were born into, like, Louisville football being good and being a member of a power conference.
Yeah.
And, the other sports besides men's basketball and football also being good. And it was just kind of like, this is the way that it is. And then when things went south, it was sort of seen as, like, Tom Jurich and, the coaches or whoever, like, they're messing it up. As opposed to...
Especially for someone my age.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
you go from 13, 14, 15 years old, the on-court stuff and the players are most important. And then 17, 18, 19 years old, all this stuff starts happening. But you're more inclined to know about the reasons for all that stuff happening. But you're also, us specifically, my friends and fans that I'm around, we got removed from it then. Like, we stopped having a reason to be interested in that stuff.
Yeah, you don't care about ADs and administrators and all that stuff until something goes wrong.
Yeah.
And then you start sort of looking at it that way. Whereas for people like me, like, I remember going to games at Old Cardinal Stadium. The fact that the Louisville baseball team played there, and the fact that it was, like, falling apart and it was about to be condemned, and getting Cardinal Stadium built and getting out of Conference USA to play in an actual power conference in football. I mean, I remember going from this team where the goal in football was to win 8, 9, maybe 10 games and playing the Liberty Bowl, to, like, oh my God, like, we're being talked about as a BCS national title contender, or playing in BCS games, or winning Big East Conference championships, and getting out of a failing basketball league into the best basketball league in the entire country. And, baseball becoming something that we cared about, and women's basketball becoming something that we cared about, and seeing, all these coaches rise and become stars and seeing the facility upgrades and seeing, like, I remember what Floyd Street looked like before Tom became the AD. And so for people my age, I think there's a little bit, it's easy to kind of say when things went south, well, he played a part in that and he could have done this and he could have done that. But for all of, people who knew about what life was like before he came, it always came with the attachment of like, yeah, but none of this would have been possible without him. We're not in the ACC without Tom Jurich. And if you're younger, it's kind of like, I was just born into this. This is the way that it's always been, and I only care about it when it gets messed up. And I get that. I understand it. But I think for U of L fans who went through life before he got here, went through life when we were experiencing the year of the Cardinal and all the great things that he produced, and then seeing the way that things went south after he left, this is I think it's a worthwhile moment. And I'm excited that he's getting proper recognition. I'm excited that Josh Hurd is making time to honor Tom, and I'm excited that Tom's going to be back in the fold, hopefully a little bit moving forward, and that we can. You'd hate for this to be a situation where, 20 years from now, you hear word that Tom Jurich has passed, and people are honoring his legacy, and he never came back, and he never made statements about U of L and the time and here and what it meant to him, and you never kind of made amends with what happened at the end of his career. Like, that's what you wanted to avoid. You've seen that happen too many times across the country in both college and professional sports, where it's too late and people don't get their flowers until they can't actually extend their hand out and take them. And Bob Knight finally went back into Indiana. You could tell he wasn't really there mentally, and it felt entirely wrong. And I say that as somebody who despises Bob Knight and doesn't really like Indiana that much. I'm glad that this is happening while everybody is still, with us, and all the major players are still out there, and all the fans can, I think, hopefully come around and fully accept it. Now, it also makes it easier, I think, for a lot of people to celebrate this because U of L athletics are on more solid footing now. Like, it's tougher if football and men's basketball were still in a dark place, and the other programs had fallen by the wayside, and it looked like we were getting left behind across the board. I think some people maybe would say, well, it's Jurich's fault. He left us in this hole. Some other people would say, like, if we had never fired Tom, this wouldn't have happened, and you would have had more bickering about it. Now it can be just sort of a celebration because you feel good about Josh Hurd, you feel good about your coaches, you feel good about Louisville sports across the board, and you can look back and say, man, we're here in large part because of what happened in the late 90s, the 2000s, the aughts, and let's pay proper respect to that. So I think this is the perfect timing in a lot of ways for this to actually go down, and that'll be Saturday at 10 a.m. And like I said, we'll have Tom Jurich on the show tomorrow at 4:30 to talk about it right here on 1450 The Big X. I do want to give Roman an opportunity. I know you were talking about a little bit on Running with Roman coming in, but you don't have recap with Roman today.
Yep.
We'll have Dalton Penson at 5:30. He and Roman will take you until 7 o'clock. So I do want to talk about the NBA Finals, the Game 7 last night. One of the more, I'll just say, like unsatisfying endings that I can remember in a major sporting event in a long time. And we talked on the show, whether you like the NBA or don't care about the NBA, I think we all had to acknowledge the playoffs were fantastic.
They were great.
A lot of drama, a lot of great series.
Multiple great series, which is, not always the case.
Great storylines. The finals had been fantastic. You got the Game 7 that you wanted.
Yep.
Storylines were in abundance going into this thing.
And then the Game 7 started how you wanted it to
The Game 7, it was fantastic last night at the beginning. Halliburton comes out on fire, hits 3 triples. The Pacers look like I feel like there were a lot of people when you got close to the game last night who were like, I think the Pacers are actually going to do this. I feel like I saw that more than I had in the days leading up to the game. And then you have one of those rare instances in sports where something dramatic happens, and the instant it does, everybody knows exactly what it is. Like there was nobody who watched that who didn't say, that looked just like Kevin Durant. That's an Achilles. He's done. This is terrible. Like, that was like everybody. I mean, I'm getting texts. I'm seeing, obviously following on social media. The announcers kind of see that it's happening. And there's a little bit of a, like, maybe the Pacers can pick themselves up off the mat and do it for Halliburton. But I think in everybody's heart of hearts, you knew the most likely scenario here is the Thunder end up winning this game, and everybody sort of looks back and says, what if? And that's exactly what happened. The game itself wasn't overly competitive. It wound up not being, and it wasn't even that well played of a game. I thought when you look back at the entire series, I mean, Shea goes, 7 of 24 from the field. he's doing the foul baiting thing, and that's, kind of watching that. I think everybody's sort of like, this isn't the way that I. It just felt to me, Roman, wholly unsatisfying.
Yeah, a little bit, Mike. I think that was the best start Tyrese Halliburton had to a game, at least in this series, I feel like.
Yeah.
And everybody outside of Shea, granted, Shea wasn't taking the best of shots and was kind of doing his little, let me see how much contact I can create. He was still assertive and aggressive and was definitely ready for the moment. He was ready to take on whatever was in front of him. Everybody else, like J-Dub, was ghosting in that first half. Chet wasn't getting really involved. He had a couple good plays, but he kind of has these moments where he'll go 3 or 4 possessions in a row and doesn't touch the ball and make an impact on the offensive end. And it seemed like the jitters and the nerves were getting to OKC. And then on top of that, Halliburton's hitting 3, so you're like, this is going to be, if the Pacers can control this first half, we're in for an amazing Game 7. And it's just, I picked OKC. I think that they're the better team. I think.
So you're finally willing to admit that you're finally willing to say that OKC is good.
Yes,
now they've won it all.
I admitted it after they beat the Timberwolves. They had to go and do that before they did that, and kind of had to perform at the beginning of the series too for me to fully establish it. But top to bottom, they deserved this for sure, and they earned it. But when it comes series like season on the line in one game, do or die, you want both teams to be at full strength, and you want to see exactly what could possibly play out happen, and that's not what we got a chance to see, unfortunately. It's a weird one because it's like I still feel like the deserving team won, but I just feel like they didn't have to go through the entirety of what a Game 7 meant to get there, which is just a weird feeling for the neutral fan. After a great playoffs, it's like, not the cap that you wanted it to end with.
I've got a hot take here based on what happened last night. I know Halliburton going down is kind of like the defining storyline, but eventually it's going to be more about the Thunder and Shea, what
having
he did.
The 4th best season ever or whatever.
Yeah, and Shea, joining, who is it? Like
Kareem, Shaq, and
Jordan. Shaq, and Kareem, as far as leading the NBA in those 4 categories and winning MVP and being finals MVP and all that stuff. It was a bad night last night for ethical hoops.
I think so.
This is because, and it's, I'm not even judging the way that the game is being played by certain people. It's smart, but I hated, the Pacers they had the one little rally late in the 4th quarter where you for a second, you're like, could they make it interesting again? Are they going to do that thing again? They got it down to it was either 12 or 10. And they're doing the full court press. There's 2.5 minutes left, maybe 3 minutes left. And they get Shea trapped at midcourt. And I can't remember who it was for the Pacers. He falls for a fake. Shea throws the ball up like he's going to jump and do a twist pass. And the guy leaves his feet and comes down. And before he even makes contact with Shea, you see him smiling to the camera. And I got him. And it's fine to do it in that moment. I'm not judging that at all. But that's half of his game at this point is foul baiting, is doing all this stuff. And it's not just him. There was a lot of talk about Jalen Brunson doing it, and he did it with a great deal of success. It's good players who are doing this now. And if you're a fan, sure, you don't care. If Michael Brown goes out there and does this for Louisville next year and we win a national title, I don't give a damn what it looks like. But for the objective viewer, for me sitting at home, not giving a damn about either one of these teams, just wanting to see really good basketball, wanting to see a really good game, wanting to see an end to a basketball season that feels satisfying, it's tough to watch. I'm like, Shea misses a runner, and then they get the ball back, and then Shea draws a foul. And then, the other side, it's not, it doesn't flow.
It doesn't. And one thing I really don't get is because of outside of Shea's slashing, his slashing tendency, outside of that, he plays really ethical basketball all the way, all across the board. It's amazing passer for a scoring first point guard. Really great passer for a scoring first point guard. Doesn't have the most off-ball stuff, but he screens. He does what he does. He's a good rebounder. He does not complain on any call that he doesn't get. But as soon as he puts that ball on the floor and feels like he gets that shoulder length past his man, he wants his man to hit him. And rather than wanting to do whatever he can to score the basket, he wants to do whatever he can to try to feel like he can get some contact in. Because I think it's it started off as a thing because he's 3 straight years now of averaging 30+. Before, he wanted to do whatever he could to get an and one. He always wanted the and one 3 years ago. And now he just wants to put the defender in a position to have an advantage, and that's kind of that's the purpose of trying to score the ball with a live dribble. But at the same time, I just feel like at all times when the ball in his hand, it's not his goal is not to find the number one best shot out there for the offense at all times. He knows his team needs a bucket. He knows he has to be the leader. He puts the ball on the floor. Oh, I can take advantage of this guy because I can stop on a dime, rise up, and get him going too fast while he's already on my hip, and that's it. I mean, it's really tough, Mike, because if it was that easy, everybody would do it, and I'm a full supporter of that take. There's a reason only a handful of guys can do this, because they have the ball handling ability, they have the 3-point shooting ability, they have the ability to hit shots from range off the dribble. And you've got to acknowledge that because they're so skilled away from the basket, it forces you to have to defend in a way that they can take advantage of you. It's unethical, but I even have a way of, I don't even like calling it bad basketball because
it's a skill.
It's a skill. He's taking advantage of defenders because he has the athletic ability on top of the skill to make tough shots.
It's a skill. It's something that should be applauded by his own fan base. It's something that clearly helped them win a world championship.
Doesn't make it fun to watch.
It sucks to watch as a objective viewer, as a neutral party who just wants to watch good, free-flowing, fun basketball.
Yeah.
And I don't know what you do if you're the NBA to fix it. You can't change your rules because then all of a sudden you put players like Shea and really every guard at an extreme disadvantage. Like, this is the game. It's on the opposition to adjust, to not foul, to not fall for it. It's on the officials to get better, to not fall for the flopping and call fouls that aren't there. But if you're
take away the defensive 3 seconds,
you think that's the key?
I think that would make a massive change.
Maybe it would. My other big takeaway from last night. I mean, Sam Presti. Can we let him run the country? Can we just Can we get him involved somehow in stuff that's going on?
Super modest too. He could have. Yeah, he could have spoke his mind there, and it would have been rightful, and he didn't. Or he did in a really modest way. He also kind of seemed like he was literally overcome with emotions. He was trying to find his words.
I mean, especially now when it seems like in all of the major American sports, the deck is stacked against the little guy more than ever. You want the big markets to win. You want the big programs to win. You want the big names to show up in the games, the sport's most important moments. And to have the Thunder basically have all these stars that are just, the second they have the option to leave, they're like, yeah, why would I stay in Oklahoma City? And to see him just rebuild and reload and keep them relevant for such a long period of time, and then eventually get them to being the best team in the sport with the best player in the sport.
And not only that, Mike, he's the first. We haven't seen a team get built for success in a win now mode, and he has set them up to be able to handle any issues that could arise going forward too, with all the picks and great front office work that he's done. Like, you've got a superstar, you've got young talent, and when there's time to get paid and you can't afford them, you've got the picks to go out there and replace them with talent that you can win with still. So,
and that's the thing now. Every single player from this year's team is under contract for next season for the Thunder.
That's why they're immediate favorites.
And they've got a possible 6 first-round picks in the next 2 drafts.
They've got the number 8 pick in this, or they've got the number 15 pick in 2 months, or whenever that is in this coming draft, and the number 24 pick in this coming draft. They've got the assets. Like, if they really wanted to go get Cooper Flagg, like, they could put a package together that would be hard to say no to. Yeah, or like the 2nd or 3rd pick, especially.
Their average age is 25.6. They're the second youngest team to ever make a finals. They've got the reigning MVP in his prime. They've got not just these 6 draft picks in the next 2. They got 32 draft picks through the 2031 year.
23-year-old anchor defensively. Just had the most blocks ever in a game 7.
6th most cap space in the NBA. I'm not saying this is going to be a dynasty, but they're set up to have an opportunity in a way that nobody in the NBA has been set up for the past,
the Celtics
7 years.
Are paying a crazy amount of money right now to have the roster that they've got, because they're all aged and in their prime and deserving of the money that they're getting. Like, technically, J-Dub and Chet are massively underpaid for what they just produced. Like, what you just got from them this season on rookie contracts is absolutely insane. And to know that you're going to be able to, if one of them, if somebody wants to go max deal one of them and you're not willing to do that because you have to max one of those 2 and you've already got Shea, they're going to be able to handle that situation. And we haven't seen a team build themselves up like this yet in the new era.
What was you would know, the Paul George trade from 2019.
Yeah.
What else? It was SGA. It was like Jaime Jaquez. There were multiple draft picks in there. that the Clippers gave to the Thunder. Do you remember who else was in that trade? That was Jalen Williams was in that trade.
Shai
Right?
Alexander, Danilo Gallinari, and a package of 5 first-round draft picks and 2 pick swaps for just Paul George.
So they got Jalen Williams out of that.
All the Clippers did was get to a conference finals in which Kawhi wasn't playing in.
And they still got one of their first-round draft picks this year is from that trade.
Yep.
And then their first-round draft pick from next year is from that trade. That's outrageous.
Yep.
That's why the Clippers are the Clippers. That's why Sam Presti is Sam Presti.
They called Sam Presti crazy.
It is. It's
because Paul George was an MVP candidate the year before or whatever.
It's awfully impressive. We have to go to break in a minute, right?
Yeah.
Still just remembering here. So real quickly, before we do go to break, reminding you guys about our friends over at the Collier Law Firm. They sponsor the hotline. We'll have Tom Jurich from the Collier Law Firm hotline tomorrow. But if you've been injured in an accident or you're injured on the job, the Collier Law Firm is the only place to call. 502-736-8141 is the number. Tony Collier and the crew over there, all of them have insurance defense backgrounds. They know the opposite team's playbook. They're going to make them pay for it. And when they make them pay for it, they're going to make sure that you keep the most money that you can from that payment, which is why their attorney fee started just 25%. 502-736-8141 or callyourlawfirm.com is the website. Back after this, we'll get to the Game Day Men's Health text line on the Mike Rutherford Show, 1450-96.1 The Big X.
like my own. Some might say take a chill beat, but I
Big
can't
Cat.
G, cause there's somebody trying to kill me. I'm popping in the grip when
I
the
love
wind
ghetto
blows.
voice.
Every 20 seconds got me
Peeping
peeping
out my windows.
Investigating the joint for traps. Check my telephone for taps.
Welcome back in. It's the Mike Rutherford Show, Monday edition, 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. Back from vacay. Happy to be here with you as we dip into the sweltering point of the summer calendar. That's okay. It's all right. We got pools. We'll be fine. We'll make it out of there. I did play golf down in Hilton Head for the first time this year, Roman.
How was it?
Very hot. We got paired up with two guys they were from Charlotte, but they were very New York. And one of them, I need to send you this picture just so I can confirm, looks just like Lions head coach Dan Campbell. Like, dead up, like Dan Campbell. Very big guy. And it took me until like the fourth hole to be like, hey, do you had to have heard this before. But you know you look just like Lions head coach Dan Campbell. And he was like, yes. I get it a lot. He's like, I typically don't wear hats. He's like, it's when I wear a hat where I look the most like him. And he took his hat off. I was like, yeah, you're right. But he was like, when I go to the airport, I usually wear a hat when I fly, and I'll be walking through, and like people will ask me to take pictures. And I was like, I believe it. This guy was, I mean, very big, had the same sort of goatee, same facial shape. So there was a certain point where I was like, is this Dan Campbell? Does he take on a New York accent to avoid talking to randos when he's playing golf on his vacations? But it wasn't. It was just a normal guy named Kevin who looked just like Dan Campbell. But I actually played pretty well. Shot an 83. Felt very good about it. Had birdie putts on 1 and 2. Felt good about that. Only had a couple shots that were pretty gross. Pretty bad misses. Had 5 birdie putts for the round, Roman. Did not make any of them. 4 very makeable. Didn't make any of them. But I was very pleased. All pars and bogeys and 1 double.
That's great.
Over 18 holes. Felt good. Which, if my season goes the way that the last several have gone, the next time I play, I'm going to be complete ass. Because it's 1 on, 1 off now for me every single time. And I have that beginner's luck where I'm like, I haven't picked up a club in 10 months. And I go out there and I play well. And the next time I play, I'm like, I played pretty well last time. I'll chunk every second shot I have the entire round.
I've been to the range 7 times in the last 14 days.
You sent me videos of your swing. Now, I was driving to Hilton Head when you sent them, and you were like asking for a critique. And I was like, well, it's very dangerous to be watching golf videos and then critiquing them on my phone while I'm driving my wife and 2 kids, down to 5 states below us. But
A lot of trial and error learning.
you look good.
A little bit of YouTube learning, and then I finally got producer Keith out there with me once.
It's pretty solid. It's a solid swing.
He helped me out. Well, I mean, it was, but when I got a couple like pointers on some grip things and where to place the ball in your practice swing and how to go about your practice swing and just really the grip things and like right elbow stuff on your irons, keeping it by your rib cage. I mean, I got a blister on my right thumb. Like
I blistered up before the end of the round.
I've been going crazy.
Yeah, I guess
finally hitting pretty much consistently with the driver now. I had this crazy it's like a long driver, and it was an oversized one, and it was like super, super flimsy, and that was just I'm not going to blame equipment, Mike, but I was kind of...
You can't use a gimmicky long drive contest driver to
and
hit
it was
play
dented. It had 3 major dents in it as well.
Yeah, you can't.
And I didn't realize a dent in your driver can actually technically... It messes up the face. It was just like, yeah, it's technology. It messes up the face if you got a dent in it. Whatever.
Yeah, you need the
Traded the driver in for one of the the drivers at the range they let you borrow. They let me trade it. Got the new driver in, Mike. Solid contact every time. I'm smacking the thing. Swing's getting good. I've differentiated. I know how to. I'm getting under the ball on the driver. I'm hitting at the ball on the iron. So I'm feeling good now. Pretty solid contact with all my clubs. So
we need to do a post show 9 like Crust and Thrill.
Let's go do it.
Head out there, maybe Cherokee.
I want to break 100. First time on a course or second time on a. Keeping real score, playing my own ball every time I want to break 100.
That's the goal for the summer.
Yes.
Like we can make that happen. Let's do it. Let's make it happen.
Then I want to break 70 by next summer.
We got a little bit of news here before we go to the men's health, the game day men's health text line. U of L running back Isaac Brown has been named to 2 of Phil Steele's prestigious preseason All-American teams in his college preview magazine, while 6 other preseason All-ACC conference honors. Brown has been named the 2nd team all-purpose back and the 4th team all-running back by Phil Steele. Wide receiver Colin Lacey and linebacker Stanquan Clark have been named 1st team preseason All-ACC. Chris Bell and defensive lineman Clev Lubin have been named third team All-ACC, and then TJ Quinn at linebacker. And defensive, they don't have this in the the release just says, and defensive linemen were named to the fourth team. So I don't. They left somebody's name out there. Rocco, get on that. Come on, you're fired. But those 5 guys, and then the one nameless guy, have been named All-ACC. Phil Steele used to be like the Bible of college football because nobody else was doing this, and the internet came around and everybody tracks everything. So it's still a nice little honor, but Phil Steele, not quite as, I feel like, doesn't have quite as much of the prestige as he had back in like 2007, 2008. But Isaac Brown, the honors are going to continue to pile up. This is going to be the summer of Isaac Brown honors. He's going to get a bunch of All-American love. He's going to be highly ranked in all of these best running backs coming back to college football rankings. A lot of All-ACC love, as he should.
He's going to be the Heisman, Mike. Just say it.
I want to say it. But I think we got to give Duke Watson his touches too. I think he's got too much competition in the backfield to win the Heisman this year.
Maybe you're right.
And that's a good thing for us because I think both those, I mean, you had 2.22 average better than like what, 7.8 yards per carry last year? They both need the ball in their hands as much as possible this coming season. And I'm excited for both of those guys. And I'm excited for Keywan Brown and Jamaris Walker getting some touches. It's going to be a very, very fun year. What I'm really excited about, I need to hear more about how Miller Moss is doing this summer. That's my big focus now outside of the defense overall. If Miller Moss can be, I mean, would you say like 85% of what Tyler Shuck was? We ought to be pretty damn good on offense.
I'd say 90%. Yeah.
90%?
Yeah.
Tyler Shuck was really good last year. But
I think if he can be 90% of what Tyler Shuck was, then with this running back room and the receiving talent that we do have, this should be an elite offense, significantly above average.
I feel confident in saying that. And I think Miller Moss is going to be good enough to get it done. If he's not this year, boy, do we have help on the way coming. Have you seen the Briggs Cherry stuff?
Yeah.
Briggs Cherry goes to the Elite 11.
We reported all on it last week.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, this kid, we already were excited about him enough. But Briggs Cherry goes to the Elite 11 finals, which, of course, is the best incoming rising high school senior quarterbacks in the country. Always get invited. They go through these Elite 11 regional camps, and then the final camp is where all the best quarterbacks in the upcoming senior class, they go to compete. And eventually 11 of them are named the actual Elite 11. And Briggs Cherry was, by all accounts, incredible at the finals. He won the most accurate arm award. You had somebody today who was in attendance saying he had the strongest arm there. You've got, I mean, people are talking about him being the biggest riser, the biggest surpriser. Everybody ranked him in their top 10.
6 tutties, no interceptions in the scrimmaging.
The kid is all world. And he's got the tatted up sleeve on the left arm. He looks the part. Imagine being 17, 4-star kid, full sleeve tattoo on your left arm. He's going to have a hell of a
Did he start off as a 3-star?
When we signed him, he was like a no-star. He hadn't even been evaluated. He was 3-star by the networks that had looked at him.
Yeah.
No other power conference offers. And this was just like 7 or 8 months ago when we said on the show. Like, just wait. Just watch. He's going to have a big spring. He's going to have a big summer. He's going to rise in these rankings. All these big-time schools are going to come after him. He's going to be a bigger recruit because Jeff doesn't just offer random guys. It's not like he's like, oh, I'm throwing a dart. This kid's a 2-star quarterback out there down in Tennessee or wherever. No other big offers, but maybe he'll be good. Who cares? Like, Jeff Brom knows what he's doing when it comes to quarterbacks. If he went out there and he offered a 5'7", 0-star recruit from Alaska tomorrow, I mean, like, the dude can sling it. He's going to be good. Like, he knows something nobody else does. You trust Jeff Brom when it comes to quarterbacks, and this is, example 15,000 during his coaching career because this kid looks like an absolute star. The only question is, is Deuce Adams going to beat him to the punch? Is Mason Mims going to beat him to the punch? We got 2 guys ahead of him that I know the staff is very excited about as well. So the quarterback room seems like it's going to be stacked moving forward. We clearly have done. And look, we also probably are going to have our pick of the litter when it comes to transfer portal quarterbacks because the more that this becomes mainstream, let's say Miller Moss goes out there a year after getting benched at USC and is fantastic for us, leads us to the playoff or flirts with the playoff, and he's all ACC, turned himself into an NFL draft pick. If you're a transfer portal quarterback who's highly touted but wants to go maybe prove a little bit more somewhere else next year, why wouldn't you want to come play for Louisville?
Yeah, it's 3 quarterbacks in a row at that point.
Yeah. So All good things.
Quick quiz for you, Mike.
Yes.
Quick football recruiting quiz.
Okay, love it. I mean,
kind of was a one-part, but I'm going to make it a two-part here because
Okay.
I'm going to make you guess on. I think both guesses here. Well, the second guess will surprise you. The 26th class is what we're going to be talking about here.
Okay.
Based on, don't look this up, Mike. Don't
Okay.
look it up. Where do you think 24/7 has Louisville's 26th class recruiting class ranked?
I've not seen any recent rankings updates. I know On 3 had us like at 24. At one point we were like 9 in 24/7, but there's been a lot of moving and shaking since then. I'm gonna say they've got us at 14.
24/7 Sports has our 26th recruiting class ranked 26th.
Okay.
Now, Mike,
Okay.
where would you guess they have us ranked in the ACC for the 26th recruiting class, if you had to guess, based on that
Ooh.
information that I just gave you? Nationally, we're 26th, according to 24/7.
I haven't kept up with ACC football recruiting in this cycle. I mean, I would assume, just assuming, FSU's got a better class than us. Miami's got a better class than us. Clemson probably has a better class than us. But that's 26th. I'm gonna say we're 5th.
This is where I think you'll be surprised.
Okay.
They've got us 8th.
Okay, so we're behind those 4: SMU,
And Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, and then one other team.
Yeah, I can't-
NC State maybe.
Yes.
8th. Well, the ACC is recruiting better than I thought they were then.
Just above Syracuse, who's just above Stanford.
Syracuse they've got that guy who's now pulling in, the mysterious, the classic, like he's a great recruiter. It's like, well, why? Well, don't worry about it. They've been getting a lot of those guys. Syracuse should be good if what's his name can coach it all. 8th in the ACC. That's surprising. We've lost a couple of guys in recent weeks. We've got a couple of guys in recent weeks, but we've lost some of our higher profile recruits. I still love what we're doing in the high school recruiting ranks right now. And look, it's time for the big dog to get after it. Big dog's in a big dog. We have more big dog stuff to talk about too. I mean, the press conference with Jeff Brom a couple days ago. Whew. Big dog's a quote machine. He's a gift from the summer radio gods. And I can't wait to talk a little bit more. But before we do, you guys have been patiently waiting. The Game Day Men's Health text line is 502-414-1450. Game Day Men's Health. Roman, they're redefining men's wellness. And you may be like, well, are they taking shortcuts to do it? No. No shortcuts. Just results. We're talking testosterone, peptides, weight loss, and sexual performance therapy. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com. They're defining a new era in men's health. All right.
Sound like me, Mike.
What do you mean?
I think I've said that read more times than you already at this point.
I had to look it up before we came in here today. I totally forgot about the
Because he said he wants it a couple of times an hour or so.
I know. I think this is like the second day that I've talked about the Game Day Men's Health text line, because I think it became official like the Thursday before I left.
I think Thursday or Friday. I don't remember which day it was. I didn't really intro right. I came in, did the whole College of Business read, and then I followed it up with the whole business, 3 reads in a row for the first 2 minutes of the show, and I was like, that's not how that was supposed to go.
It's okay. Every now and then I just randomly drop the ball too and forget exactly how it goes. Speaking of one last thing before we get to the Big X text line, we're gonna be at Shack in the Back on Friday. We finally get a chance to experience these turkey ribs, Roman.
With the what was it the
white
lightning sauce?
The lightning sauce, yeah, the white lightning sauce. So we are going to be out for all the people that were talking about Shack in the Back when it came up. We originally thought we were going to be there a month ago, but we're going to be there this Friday, from 2:30 to 5:30, and they've got a special deal for all those folks who want to show up. We're talking pulled chicken or pork meal with 2 sides. You hear that, you're like, what was that, $19.95, $20? Only $10. Pulled chicken or pulled pork meal, 2 sides, $10. Make it out there, Shack in the Back. We're there on Friday. We will be trying the turkey ribs. I'll speak for myself. I definitely am trying the turkey ribs. I've got to see what all the fuss is about. Excited to be out there. All right, 502-414-1450 is the number. Text says, hey, Mike, welcome back. I hope you weren't listening last week to hear the desecration of your show. Roman revoked the show's stance against Nazis and changed the sponsor of the call line to MyPillow. Is this true?
No.
Because, we have a hardline stance against Nazis on this show.
Set another hardline stance. I set a hardline stance for the station. I didn't revoke any.
Who'd you ban?
I forgot.
What are we against?
I forgot already. It's not good.
Not great. Texas Mike, what's going on with Ali Khalifa? The NCAA dropped a bomb on us, and it seems like we all felt confident that Ali was going to be cleared. The dude is in every team practice video and is obviously carrying on like he will be good to go, but it's been nothing but crickets. When can we plan on hearing something, and when will this be resolved? We finally have something good for going for us. I would hate to see it taken away. I don't think anybody knows.
I saw him Saturday night.
Where was he? What was he doing?
He was being Mr. Suave in the St. Matthews area.
Oh, you can name the place. It's 2 days later.
Tin Roof. Which is a bit of a surprise.
Tin Roof Khalifa?
Yeah, he only had. I quickly it was like a high school reunion in there when I walked in. So I saw him. I was like, okay, let me stay right here near him while I do my intro, what's up, dap up all my buddies I hadn't seen in quite some time. And then that takes way longer than it should. I'll turn around, he's gone. I can't find him.
Sick brag on having so many friends, by the way.
That's not what I meant. I don't spend a lot of time in the St. Matthews area on Saturday nights, so I go to Tin Roof. There's a lot of people who I just haven't seen in some time that are there. Acquaintances, friendly acquaintances.
The Tin Roof crowd.
Yeah. There was more people outside than inside because of how hot it was.
I can only imagine. Yeah. And then Ali just dipped.
Yeah, dipped on me. I wanted to get a combo.
By the way, I sent you the picture somebody sent to me of Kenai Roos at Lakeside last week.
Oh, yeah.
Just dunking on kids.
And he was like playing with regular kids. Too.
Yeah, he was just having a good time, just out there, just living life. I keep getting asked about. I mean, everyone I'm sure is going to get asked about Ali Khalifa until something gets resolved here. And this is the great. I don't want to say like disgrace, but the big disservice that this whole thing is doing, because let me say definitively, whether it comes through in the appeal or it comes through in actually having to go to court, Ali Khalifa will get another year of collegiate eligibility. It's just a matter of when. It's not a matter of if. Like, the case is extremely straightforward. I mean, hell, like, the NCAA granted an extra year of eligibility to the kid from Alabama today who played in 8 games last season. Khalifa, if they have to go to the court, they'll go to the court. They'll win there because the NCAA doesn't beat anybody in court. The issue is the timeline, and it's obnoxious as hell because you've got this guy who you know at some point is going to be eligible to play college basketball again. But if that sometime isn't before like late October, you got to plan for that. Like, the longer this goes, the more need you have for a contingency plan, both in terms of maybe roster assembly, you've got that one scholarship left out there, or just rotations, you know, roles that guys are going to have to fulfill on the court, and just overall planning. When you've got a guy who has such a unique skill set like Khalifa, you build at least part of your game plan around that. And if you're Pat Kelsey, you don't want to
second unit around that.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to devote a ton of time to sets and schemes that involve Khalifa's ability to pass and shoot the outside shot if there's at least a somewhat of a possibility that he's not going to be out there for you. And so, like, this whole thing just is a time suck. And I can't answer when the NCAA is going to get this on their plate. I mean, it just brings me back to I'm having PTSD from the last 8 years where we've had all these different NCAA rulings and all these different NCAA cases, and every week people are like, hey, hearing anything about when it's going to happen? Nobody knows. The NCAA just does this at their leisure. Like,
yeah,
maybe we're next up. Maybe they're going to look at this and it'll take snap of a finger to be like, oh yeah, somebody screwed this up, or U of L screwed something up procedurally, and this should have been taken care of. And boom, like, he's eligible to go as of next week. They may look at this in like 2028 for all we know. We have no idea. And it sucks because you've got to plan as of right now as if he's going to be good to go. But the longer this drags, the more doubt you have that he is going to be good to go. Dave, teacher from Jeffersonville, said, I'm definitely not typing this at midnight after a Pacers Game 7 beer fest. Mike, you missed a lot last week. Lord of the Rings, Natalie Portman, music festivals, and more. Bats game on Saturday was awesome. Lots of office jokes that were actually subtle. Meredith threw the first pitch. It's a great time at the ballpark. And the Pacers game sucked, but I watched it at a bar, so overall decent. Anyway, is this how Roman keeps score at golf? I don't understand most of that text. I do know that the Meredith from The Office was at the Bats game on Saturday, which is a cool promotion, so it was office night. That's fun. D'Angelo Russell threw out the first pitch yesterday. See that?
He has a run today.
Does he?
Yeah, like a 5K or something.
Oh, I thought you meant like a basketball run.
No, he had that over the weekend.
I saw it was the Trey Moses had his like celebrity thing. Pacers game did suck. But if you watched it at a bar, I guess maybe it made it better. I was texting with Trevor last night, and he's like, so Trevor was coping with this by texting me like very obscure references to St. Matthew's Little League basketball when I played, and he was coaching like 12-year-old kids as a 15-year-old. And he was just like, we were just like throwing out names of kids because I was like, oh yeah, I won the league. It's crazy to think like Trevor was like, I guarantee working the score clock when I was playing. And say like, so we have to like check in at the scorer's table like to Trevor back in the day, and we had no idea who each other were. But so this was the way that he was coping for it. And I didn't want to say anything, but as the game went on, I finally had to be like, dude, like just so you know, if I were a Pacers fan right now, I think I'd be face down in a ditch somewhere. Like, I can't imagine. I mean, you get to we're going to lose the last game of the season, Game 7. Like, this is the biggest game of your life as a sports fan, right? If you win, I mean, none of the people my age have experienced a world championship. And you do it with this team that has won in all these unpredictable manners, and they do it without, being this big market with these big superstars and all this stuff, and it's just the perfect storyline. And this is the moment. And your superstar gets hurt in the first quarter, and it's the all is lost moment, and you never really recover, and you're basically getting blown out for most of that game.
Yeah.
Like, that's got to be
devastating.
I don't know how you cope with that.
Producer Mike, he's a pretty diehard Pacers fan. He was in tears last night. He sent me a super long text.
Just going through it?
Yeah, because, I mean, guys, like, this has happened. This is Oladipo when they made that Ron Paul George got hurt. Like, they've had their key players get hurt. So, and then to have it happen like that in a Game 7, and you're not back to that point until Halliburton's back to that point.
I can't.
You can't even be excited about next season. Like,
no.
Not only is it okay, maybe next year. No, he isn't touching the floor for 365 days plus.
It would have been like, we get to the national title game in 2013, and I feel the story like I'm thinking, they run out of the court, and I'm thinking about all these tough years we went through, and the drama surrounding Denny Crum getting forced out, and losing in the Elite Eight, losing in the Final Four the year before, and the game starts, and we jump out on Michigan early, and then like
Siva breaks his leg like Kevin Ware did.
Peyton Siva breaks his leg, and you're like, oh my god, like what do you do? Like how do you not spend the rest of your sports life being like, we would have won. Like that was taken away from us. I mean, I follow a bunch of Pacers fans on Twitter, and I saw a bunch of them that were like, the way that we started that game, Halliburton playing like we would have won. Like I'll go to my grave believing that we would have won that game, but not knowing is almost the worst part.
Yeah.
Like like if you could find some sort of like, who knows where AI goes? Like somebody who could predict this or like play it all out, they would tell you actually would have lost the game by 4. I feel like that would be easier to stomach than just never actually knowing whether you would have won or lost. Like this great like all of your years of being a Pacers fan was leading up to that moment, and then it's just the most unfulfilling, unsatisfying way for it all to end. I don't know how you cope with that. That would be tough.
I can't imagine.
Thoughts and prayers to all the Pacers fans on this afternoon. Texter says, "Hey Roman, I'm here to call you out." Oh boy.
Yeah.
I really, it sounds like you know what this is about. I really enjoyed the part of Friday's show where you said, "Hey, the Riddler texted in," and then proceeded to get distracted and move right on past me. It's cool. No more softball riddles. Welcome back, Mike. Oh, did you big league the Riddler? Yeah. Just say yes. You clearly did.
But I didn't mean to, and I didn't know he had another riddle.
Would you like to apologize?
I'm very sorry, Riddler. I appreciate you still sending in a riddle when Mike was out. We really appreciate your contributions to the show.
I would never do this to the Riddler.
I'm sorry. True, honest mistake.
The Riddler's always welcome when I'm hosting the show. You want to read the riddle real quick?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I don't see it. Well, we got to go to break.
Oh, how convenient. You're big leaguing the Riddler again. We'll read the riddle when we get back after the break. Game Day Men's Health text line, 502-414-1450. We do have a couple other things to get to as well. A couple of baseball tidbits to wrap things up. Some football recruiting nuggets, and then basketball videos are out. And I can't get enough, Roman. I cannot get enough of the summer basketball content already. Ooh, it's all happening. We're very, very excited about it. We'll go to break. We'll come back. We'll read some more texts from you guys at 502-414-1450. Happy to be back here with you on a Monday edition of the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical, 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio.
When she got in the back door, looking at me strange, but you know I don't care. Step up in this.
And industrial HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and refrigeration needs. Give them a call anytime, any day at 502-339-1133. Happy to be back here after a nice vacation with the family in Hilton Head last week. Roman, are you a pool or an ocean guy? If you have the choice, pool or beach, which one do you go with?
If it's lakeside setup, pool, but I'm a beach guy for sure.
You're a beach guy?
If you've got a massive pool with diving boards and kind of free reign to operate like that, but I've never been to another pool like lakeside, so I got to go beach guy.
I enjoy like the waves and like the ambiance of the beach and all that stuff, but I'm still more of a pool guy. And part of what aided in that stance, we're down in Hilton Head last week, 2 shark attacks. 2. Kind of right where we are. The first one was actually on the beach where we were. We stayed in, if you know the area, the Sea Pines area of Hilton Head. And like the first day that we were there was a 12-year-old girl got airlifted to Savannah with a bite mark that was consistent with a shark bite in the lake. And then the day we left in Coligny, another shark bite. I don't want to get bitten by a shark, Roman.
Yeah, I don't think I would enjoy it. I feel like last summer this started, Mike. There's just a lot of shark attacks now.
A lot of shark. Yeah, they say that they average like 3 a year on Hilton Head. And last year, I think there were like 6 or 7. And
what's up with the shark biting inflation?
I don't know. You know, can we blame Trump for this? Got the sharks all into a frenzy?
Probably. I mean, it's probably maybe more global warming than Trump, but
could be. I don't know. But the sharks are going crazy down there. But if I make it through, you know, I don't really want to get stabbed in my life. I really don't want to get bitten by a shark either. If I make it through life without having either one of those things happen, I'll feel like I won.
You haven't been stabbed yet?
Have not been stabbed yet, nor do I want to be. I really don't want to get stabbed. You're talking as if you have been stabbed.
Nah, I'm just kidding. I haven't been stabbed either.
Thank God. I was about to need to hear that story on the air, and I wasn't sure if it was going to be appropriate. But I was going to have to hear it. I just don't want to get stabbed or bitten by a shark. Thankfully, neither happened over the weekend. But it's, you know, they always talk about it happens in knee-deep waters. You go out there and you're like looking around a little bit. It's just it's a little unnerving. That's why I'm more of a pool guy. 502-414-1450 is the Game Day Men's Health text line. We'll take some more from you guys. We haven't really gotten too deep into the text line here. We'll figure that out. We do have to make sure that we read the Riddler's riddle because he's very upset with you. He took his time to make a replacement riddle, and you just.
But he says here no more softball riddles.
Yeah, but his softball riddle was from last week that you just ignored.
We read this riddle.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it was Brendan McKay. That's what the first half of that message is about. So I'm thinking maybe a text didn't go through.
Oh. Well, I don't know what happened.
Like you're seeing the text on the 19th and then one on the 20th.
And then the one from today.
But there's no softball riddle in there. Send a screenshot in.
Well, I think he means like just easy riddle. No more softball riddles.
Oh.
I don't think he means like an actual softball.
Oh,
riddle.
I was going to say I wouldn't have gotten a softball riddle correct, probably.
Oh. Well.
That makes sense then.
Whatever happened that hurt the Riddler's feelings, we deeply apologize.
But read his text, Mike. The second part of it there.
The one from the 20th?
Yeah.
Following up on the hatred of teams' ideas from yesterday, bleep Storm Johnson. I'll never forget that rando running for 400 yards and ruining Teddy's undefeated season. Also, I hate Illinois and Darren Williams.
So I believe the conversation partially started Monday, but Thursday and Friday we had a good talk. Producer Keith, me, Kendall Fuller from the Waco 502 contributor, and then obviously Will Wigginton, like teams that you have an irrational hate for as a Louisville fan. That aren't like the irrational meaning we've only played them once or twice, maybe even once, maybe we didn't even lose, but something happened in the game. Like so,
not like a traditional rival, but like somebody that you just
believe like Grand Canyon was an answer, Northern Iowa was an answer. We got a lot of different answers.
So he's saying UCF, who did beat us.
UCF was another answer as well.
That's
I
the
think
Storm
someone
Johnson
said that.
Text.
I think Willer, producer Keith said that would probably be yours. UCF.
UCF. I mean, for a while there, they were kind of a traditional rival. They were our biggest rival in the towards the end. In our 1 year in the AAC. I mean, if you take out like Cincinnati, Memphis State, and Kentucky. And I guess Indiana.
But also like Michigan State, too, because that was mine, but that's not really irrational, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think UCF is irrational either. We had this weird kind of recruiting battle going on for a little bit there where Brandon Bender was funneling players to Orlando to help them out. That was a weird period of time where we had this thing going with UCF. I still kind of hate East Carolina football just because we were rivals with them for a brief period back in the Conference USA days. I've gotten over my hatred of TCU football as time has gone on. I've kind of forgotten that period of time. Southern Miss would be the other one that I just I can't find myself ever rooting
brought
for.
up too.
But like totally irrational. Like who do I just?
We played them once or twice. They had a dirty player. Maybe they just like a team that was not better than us had one player who just killed us. I think
I've got a really random one. We hosted North Florida, the Ospreys, for a basketball game in, I want to say it was like 2015, 2014, somewhere around there. And they brought these like 7 frat dudes that sat behind their bench, and they were the most obnoxious people in the history of the world. They had a kid who could really fill it up. Dallas, I can't remember his last name. He was a left-handed kid. He would shoot from like 30 feet out.
well, this wasn't one of the frat kids though.
No, this was an actual player. He was very, very good. They kept it closer than they probably should have, and the frat kids were just like talking smack. Like I've kind of hated North Florida ever since then. They're like my least favorite ASUN team. Every time Bellarmine plays them, I'm like, we gotta take down the Ospreys. So that's a very random. Every time I think about North Florida, I think about those 7 frat dudes who probably like, have no interest whatsoever in North Florida basketball anymore. But they single-handedly made me hate the Ospreys.
That's a good one.
Thank you.
That's definitely the most interesting one that we got.
That's why they paid me the big bucks. Dexter says, hot take. I think Miller Moss ends the season with better numbers than Tyler Shuck, and we win at least 10 regular season games. You heard it here first. I mean, I think if Miller Moss ends the season with better numbers than Tyler Shuck, we probably win 10 games.
I think that's a hot take.
I think it's definitely a hot take.
I don't think the expectation of 10 regular season wins with this schedule is a hot take. I don't think it's the expectation either, but if it's 2 different takes that they're putting in this text here, and we win at least 10 regular season games, I don't think that's hot. I think
the Miller Moss putting up better numbers than Tyler Shuck is a hotter take than us winning 10
games. We're
games.
going to run the ball a lot more, and I don't think he has the arm strength Tyler has. Accuracy, though, I think they're pretty close.
He doesn't, and I mean, we also, we had a first-team All-ACC receiver in Ja'Cory Brooks who's not here anymore.
Yeah.
I think we were excited about Chris Bell stepping up, hopefully, but we've been excited the last 2 years, and it hadn't really happened. Colin Lacey having a full season with him, we're excited about that. But you look at the receivers, and it's if you were just looking on paper, you probably feel like the receiving is going to take a little bit of a step down, and then you feel like the offense
plays.
Yeah, you feel like the offense is going to be more reliant on the running game than it was last year. Like that should be more of the strength. So, yeah, I mean, it would be a surprise. I think to most people, it would be a surprise to me if Miller Moss's overall numbers are better than Tyler Shuck's were from last year.
Because he'll be asked to do less.
But it wouldn't be a surprise, I think, if we had more wins with Miller Moss doing less than we had last year with Tyler Shuck doing more. I would love to see us win, 9, 10, 11 regular season games, which is more than we won last year with Tyler. Checkers, hey, Mike. Following up from my text into last week's show when you were on vacation where I caught hand, foot, and mouth for my kids. Oh, God. They said on the show that you caught this a few years ago. I'm past the excruciating, painful sore throat, but currently panicking about my nails falling off. What was your experience like? Hand, foot, and mouth sucks. If anybody remembers this from the show when I got it, it was John's first year. So this was like a year and a half ago, I guess. It was early on in John's first year of school. And, I talked about how John had gotten it. And they say the worst part was once you've been exposed, they're like, it takes a week for symptoms to start showing up. And so you don't know if you're going to get it or not. And Mary ended up not getting it. I got it. But there were a couple people who texted in, they were like, the moment that you feel that slightly sore throat, you're done. You've got it. It's going to hit you the next day. And I was leaving radios when we were doing the show at the OG studio in Jeffersonville. And I remember that day, I was driving home and I could feel it. I was like, there's that little, that knife feeling, subtle, but there in the back of my throat. And sure enough, the next day, the worst part for me was that first day where you just get hit with the fever. I know Keith Wynn, he talked about having it, said it was the most sick he's ever been in his life. When it hits you, I was just hallucinating, sweating, having terrible, terrible fever. It was awful. And the sore started popping up the next day. I hate to even tell you this. I did lose fingernails.
Ugh.
Yeah, toenails.
No.
Yeah.
I can't. I have to avoid this disease.
It happened, but it happened weeks after I was all better.
What?
The sore, my sore, I've had 2 friends that have gotten this, and their sores I think were worse than mine. My worst ones were on I had them under my nose and then like the ones in your throat, they hurt a lot. But like I had friends who had them like all over like in the middle of their fingers. They had like sleep with gloves on, and their feet. Like I had them on my feet, but I don't think I didn't. It wasn't as terrible as it was for some people that I've heard. But yeah, like weeks and weeks and weeks after I had gotten better, my two pinky toes, they like an extra nail grew in, and so like yeah, like the whole thing like came off on both my pinky toes, like several weeks later, and I lost one fingernail. Bad. Don't get hand, foot, and mouth. It's bad. Hang in there, buddy. If you're past the sore throat part, past the sores, it didn't even like hurt the nail falling off. It was just like being forced out by yeah. It really didn't hurt. It kind of felt good coming off, but it may happen to you.
You know how people like the feeling you get from nails on a chalkboard?
Yeah, that's what you get when you hear about nails falling off.
Like someone explaining what you just explained, I get that same feeling. I also get it from like watching people put contacts in.
I can see. I've heard of other people who like can't do that.
I kind of like the sound of chalk and nails on a chalk.
Ew, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. You want me to talk more about nails falling off?
No.
Okay.
No.
Texture says last day of NBA talk. Prayer hands emoji. We got the draft coming up.
KD blockbuster trade too.
We did have that yesterday. I enjoyed him finding out when he was on stage with Taylor Rooks.
Yeah.
And being like, what?
Tweeting at Lil B today.
Yeah, he's going back at it.
We're back at it again. Mike.
He's like, he's in my DMs. He's like, you're in my DMs looking for a guest spot. They're back at it now?
Yeah.
What are they going at it about now?
I can't read what Lil B said, but
of course,
Lil B tweeted at him, said Kevin Durant really ain't about this basketball stuff. Pull up on me wherever. I'm waiting for you. And Kevin Durant's like, this guy's in my DM asking for a feature.
That's what I saw earlier.
You were once a thing, I'm still that kind of a thing.
I mean, he's not wrong. Like, Lil B, I feel like it's not. Like, I haven't heard much about Lil B over the last 10 years or so.
Yeah.
Since Russ left, pretty much. That was my introduction to Lil B. Except now, oddly, all of, like, the lingo that Lil B was using in 2012 is, like, conservative political lingo, like the whole base stuff.
Yeah.
It's become,
that's
which is super strange. Texas says, I'm glad to hear Mark Rutherford back on the Mark Rutherford Show. Is John so upset that he can't put golf balls in his mouth like you said he was in your IG story? Thank you for following him on Instagram. That was a rough morning. John, I mean, 3-year-olds get upset about the weirdest stuff. John is he's become out of nowhere. I'm hoping this is just a phase, the most defiant kid. Like, if you just tell him anything, he just disagrees with everything that you say. He'll have like a knife. And I'll be like, buddy, you can't have a knife. Like, that would, if you stab yourself, it's going to hurt. He's like, no, it won't. Like, just like, I'm like, well, how do you think, like, what do you think you know? And so it's a beautiful morning in Hilton Head. I'm out in the balcony. Like, water's going. Like, everything's nice. The weather's perfect. And John, they got me these, like, emoji golf balls for Father's Day that had, like, one of them's like a poop emoji. They thought that was very funny. And, like, smiley face emojis. And he was trying to put one of the golf balls in his mouth. And I was like, no, but buddy, what are you doing? And he's like, but I want to, and just like flips out and starts like screaming and crying. John, anytime he gets like told he can't do something, or anytime he gets not even like yelled at, but like told like, hey buddy, like no, we can't do that. Like just loses it now, cannot handle it at all. And so he's like absolutely throwing a fit on this perfect day because he can't put a golf ball in his mouth. The joy of parenthood. He's better about that. He understands that he can't put golf balls in his mouth. That was, I think, definitely my most popular Instagram from vacation, which is terrible. Texas driving back to Louisville from Wilmington, North Carolina. I-40 and the West Virginia Turnpike sucks. 2 hours of driving in S. Yeah, I felt bad. I drive through the night with the hope that like my kids will sleep well and Mary will sleep and then I can sleep when we get home. And Mary couldn't sleep because it was such a just constant S curve. Just like you're constantly big turns. You're taking like 15 miles an hour. So the whole thing was disastrous. And then Virginia woke up like at 2:30 in the morning in like a stupor and just started like saying the most random stuff. I'm trying to listen to a podcast on George Custer. And Virginia's like, Dada. I'm like, yeah. She's like, when I go to my new school, I think I'll be one of the oldest kids with the first birthdays. I was like, you probably will, sweetie. Early September. It's probably going to do it. She's like, I see stars. I'm like, cool. Like, can you please try to go back to sleep? You got about 4 hours left of this drive. Trying not to die. A Little Dumpers texted in. This is the first time the Little Dumpers texted in since trying to get rid of the Little Dumper name. I will say that I've got no issue with Coastal Carolina, but I will always hate that catcher just because of the amount that he got praised for his blatant pitch framing. Also, you never read my text above about Lil Wayne, the man formerly known as Little Dumper. No, you're still Little Dumper. You don't have there's no text above about Lil Wayne either. You maybe just didn't hit send on that. Obviously, I wasn't here to talk about this. The Coastal Carolina, one thing that I took away from this year's college baseball World Series was that framing's out of control in college baseball. And I don't blame the catchers for doing it. Let me just say that straightforward. It's on the umpires to not reward them for doing it. But the Coastal Carolina catcher, who, my God, they're talking about, I get that he's good, but they're talking about this guy like
he could play in the big leagues right now.
He's prime Pudge Rodriguez. Like the framing was not good. He's framing everything. Like, you're told growing up, and I say this as somebody who caught until like my junior year of high school, you only frame pitches that are close. If you try to frame everything, umpires are going to get pissed off and they're not going to believe anything that you do. This kid's framing everything. Like, any ball that was didn't bounce to the plate, he's jerking it up 6 inches. And the umpire was loving it. He got so many calls out of the zone. I was like, how are people still falling for this in 2025? So I don't blame the catcher for doing it, but the framing's out of control.
They were showing his pregame practice methods for how he frames his pitches. Mike, he has a little, I forgot, it's some little miniature bat that's weighted, and he does this upward motion because he knows that low balls are going to be out of the frame. He practices framing. It's with a tool and all that. I thought that was kind of interesting that they went into it that deeply.
The best part of the game too was
technically cheating.
It's a little baseball thing, but it's on the umpire to not fall. You shouldn't be falling for that. He was not even he's framing everything. But I did love whoever's the play-by-play guy. He's like, you can't try to run on this guy. He throws out every single runner, and 0.5 seconds later, Alex Alisea is still second on him. I was like, what a terrible well, I guess he doesn't throw out every single runner. The college baseball, and I'm typically somebody who doesn't like to do the whole this coverage sucks. For the most part, I think coverage is, they're doing the best they can. The coverage of the College World Series sucked. I thought the announcing was terrible. The highlight packages were bad. The whole thing I thought was poorly covered by ESPN. I get that most of people's complaints about ESPN this week has been about their coverage of the finals, which I think also had its moments where it was not great. But the College World Series coverage I thought just stunk. And as I said, even with the games that I was watching that didn't involve Louisville, I thought it was bad. Texas Roman missed the first Omaha game because he was at different strokes. Is this true?
No. It's not true.
It's 100% true.
Not true.
Well, we lost. That's on you. Thanks for that. Texas, here's something that was crazy after Halliburton went down. Tatum, Lillard, and Hallie, torn Achilles in the playoffs. They all wear number 0.
Whoa.
I did not know this.
That is weird.
Don't love it at all. Sean Moss sent me this chart of all the pitchers. I think I saw this during the game, that Caden Bodine has had called strikes. All these pitches out of the zone. But again, it's not his fault. He's being rewarded for doing this.
He's being told to do it by his coaches.
Yeah. Ridiculous. Texture says, I want to believe that volleyball will still be competitive under Dan Meskey, but after what we recently went through with the men's basketball program, forgive me if I'm hesitant to get excited about a guy who's never been a head coach at this level before. Well, Danny Buscom Kelly had never been a head coach at this level before. I think it's different.
He was a right-hand man.
He was as involved as any assistant coach in the sport. He basically would, he was the one who dealt with the officials. He was the one who was up off the bench during games. And I think also, we're returning a ton of talent from that team from last year. I know we lose Elena Scott and we lose Anna DeBeer, but we're returning 2 players who earned All-American honors last season. And we brought in some of the best transfers in the country. There's no reason for us not to be, I'm not saying top 5 good like we've been, but we should be top 10 good again this year. And I think he'll be able to keep it rolling as long as we keep having access to this talent. I thought it was cool that DBK, now she is coaching Nebraska, so she was in the area. but she showed up in Omaha to root on the baseball team. I thought that was good. I enjoyed that. Hate that we've lost her, but she's still showing love for the Cards. Texas, hey Mike, welcome back. Hope you saw some footprints in the sand that reminded you of something that could distract you from the fact that Dan did not start Ethan Eberle or Peter Michael, despite them clearly being available to throw. Good Lord, I'm mad again. Glad to have you back, Parksy boy. Now, we did not have a chance to talk about this, obviously, because I was gone. But the starting pitching decision for the game against Coastal. I mean, I never thought that Patrick Forbes was going to get the ball. I get that this becomes something that has been talked about a lot.
Give him the ball if he wants it.
I don't, he said he wanted it. There was some talk before the game that his management was like, we don't throw him. But then after the game, Dan McDonald says that he got a text from Forbes the night before saying, I want the ball. Even if it were for 3 or 4 innings, it would have been nice to have your number one out there in a must-win game. I was texting with friends the night before the game, and they were like, is it going to be Forbes? And I was like, if it's not Forbes, I think it'll be Peter Michael, who had it started 13 games and was really good at portions of the season. They clearly lost confidence in him before, towards the end of the year, and we didn't see him at all in the NCAA tournament until the kind of meaningless innings at the end of that game. If Aberle were available, which he clearly was because he came in and pitched, I was surprised they didn't give him the ball. But if it came down to Hartman or Michael, I'm surprised it wasn't Peter Michael. Just because, you've seen him do it before. He's pitched well at times. Hartman, while he was I also understand Dan's reasoning when it comes to why they gave him the ball. He was a blue chip recruit. He was a top 25 recruit in his class a couple of years ago. He's clearly got the stuff. He just has not been able to put it all together. But he's a guy that hadn't pitched in over a month. He had the 9 ERA. He's never shown an ability to do it consistently in his 2 years as a college pitcher. But they were hoping that this was the pedigree would come out and he would rise to the occasion. And he would be able to give you at least 2 or 3 really good innings, and that stuff would rise to the occasion, and it just didn't happen. Obviously, hindsight's 20/20. If he goes out there and he gives you 3 blistering, fantastic innings, then everybody says, what a great job. And now this kid's going to be a star, breakout star next season for them. And unfortunately, it was the exact opposite. Didn't record a single out, looked completely lost out there, and the game was over basically before we even got to the second inning, which sucks. I tweeted out before the game. So I'm surprised it's not Peter Michael, but they clearly had lost a ton of faith in Michael by the end of the season. But if it came down to those two, he's more of the known commodity. I would have trusted him more to get you 3 innings. But it was going to be a tough sell either way. But I wish we'd started Peter Michael. Texture says, so did Chris the Plumber find his way downtown this weekend? Stop. Says, Mike, you probably already know this, but for those who don't, if you have Prime Video on the live TV tab, there is a Saved by the Bell channel that plays Saved by the Bell 24/7. I'm currently enjoying Saved by the Bell Hawaiian style. I did not know this. Every now and then they'll have the marathon on E. I'll see it on the TV guide, and I'll just fall asleep to Saved by the Bell episodes. But I did not know that I do have Prime Video. I need to just throw on Saved by the Bell at night, I guess. Texas Mike, Candelario I saw this at the beginning of the show. Was just DFA'd. I can't wait for him to be claimed by another team and magically start hitting over 300. Yes, the Reds DFA'd Jamer Candelario, who I believe is their second highest paid player right now on the roster. There is a 100% chance that he'll get picked up by the Brewers or somebody else. He's going to hit 25 home runs over the next 3 months. I still think, I know we invested a ton of money in him. I still think it's the right move. The guy's, he sucks. I was excited about him to a point when we signed him. He's awful at baseball, and you can't keep somebody like that on your roster when you're trying to get up there and make a run for the wild card. I've got a couple other Reds thoughts, but we don't have time. Right? We have to go to break, right? 25?
Floating.
What's the time frame?
26 to 30.
Okay, well then let me say this. because I don't want to spend too much time on this. There's been a thing since I've been on the radio where, regardless of how good or bad they are, the Reds play exceptionally well when I go on this vacation in the summer. It's like a few years ago, today's the 2-year anniversary of the Red cycle game, the Ellie De La Cruz cycle game. That was when they were in the middle of a 13-game winning streak. That was when I was on vacation. Last year played exceptionally well when I was on vacation. This year on vacation, Roman, the day before we leave, we lose game 1 to the Tigers.
Mm-hmm.
We get on vacation. We win games 2 and 3, snapping that 2-year streak that the Reds had of losing every single series where they lost the opener. That's vacation magic. We won, I think, the first 3 games where we were on vacation. I believe we went 4-1 when we were on vacation. When I left when that was late Friday night, I think it was 0-0 when they were playing the Cardinals. They ended up losing that game 6-1. But a 4-1 record on vacation, pretty impressive.
That is.
Reds had won 10 of 13 before they promptly lost before. Still 2 games above 500, just 3 games out of the wild card.
Still the only team to not be swept.
Have not been swept. Yankees series starts tonight. Chase Petty tomorrow. I'm very, 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 very excited about Burns coming up. I feel like we wouldn't call him up, though, if we didn't feel like Hunter Green was going to be out for a long time. Let's go. Let's take down the Yankees. I will come back. We've got a couple other things to get to. We'll certainly take more of your text in the Game Day Men's Health text line at 502-414-1450. It's the return show after vacation. Mike Rutherford, Roman Kelly with you on a Monday. We'll roll on after the break here on 1450 and 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. Welcome back in. Monday edition of the Mike Rutherford Show, 1450, 96.1, Big X Sports Radio. We mentioned this in passing a little bit earlier in the show, but 3 Louisville players were recognized for their performance at the College World Series and were named to the All-Tournament team. I saw Coastal fans were all pissy about this yesterday because 3 Louisville players made the All-Tournament team and only 1 Coastal player made the All-Tournament team, even though they swept the group, if you want to call it that, and made the championship series. But they do this by position. It's not just like the 12 best players. They do the best player at every position and then have 2 pitchers on the All-Tournament team. Eddie King Jr., Jake Monroe, and Kamayu Neighbors were named to the 11-man team. I mean, Eddie King Jr. was fantastic. Kamayu led by the time Louisville got eliminated, led the entire College World Series in hits. And then I think Jake Monroe was on there because nobody else was really good at third base. This was
super clutch, too.
Very, very clutch. It came up at big times for that team. He is the second player. I mean, these players, I think I'm phrasing this poorly. Only 2 players before these 3 had ever been named to the College World Series All-Tournament team. Drew Campbell in 2019, and then Brendan McKay in 2017. 2019, of course, was the only other time that Louisville won 2 games at the College World Series. We matched our run this year. Next up, getting in that championship series, going one step further and making it happen. But congrats to all 3 of those guys. Fantastic season. I saw that technically Eddie King Jr. and Kamayu Neighbors both have eligibility for next season. Now, Kamayu's 25. My understanding is neither one of those guys is going to exercise that.
Eddie has eligibility?
That's according to Matt McGavick.
He was a 6-year senior.
There's some sort of weird ruling that he could play. I mean, Kamayu Neighbors is 25, but he has the JUCO year. And now with the Diego Pavia ruling, he could have played one more year. I think this is a small city scoop. Our babysitter's friend is now dating Kamayu Neighbors, and she was telling me today that he was headed out to California to kind of like prepare himself for the draft in pro baseball. I was like, oh, well, then I guess he's not coming back. That's the inside scoop from our babysitter's friend who now is dating Kamayu Neighbors and got to sit behind home plate for the games in Omaha. She's like, we saw her and his mom every single game. They were sitting right behind home plate. But he was fantastic. All 3 of those guys were terrific in Omaha and helped do a lot to, I think, restore the fan base's faith in Louisville baseball moving forward. Sean Moth was texting me, too, and was saying, like, just, for the record, he's like, Hartman had been really dominant in postseason scrimmages, so the coaches went on a hunch that he was going to be, and just, it didn't work. And also said, like, it's not worth risking Patrick Forbes, who's a first-rounder, to throw in 4 days rest, even if he wants the ball. And I was like, I get that. Especially when, you got to think big picture in that point. I know it's survive and advance, but if let's say we'd thrown Forbes and we'd thrown Eberle and it was all hands on deck, like, we're cooked the next day anyway. Like, you've got to throw Hartman at some point, or you've got to throw Peter Michael at some point. I guess just do it game 1 and hope you get that extra day of rest for Forbes, and he can go out there and throw more than just 2 or 3 innings in the winner-take-all game 5. I mean, it's tough to say now. This is why that first game is so important, and it's damn near impossible to win the College World Series if you don't win your first game. You've got to have a wealth of arms if you want to make that happen, and we unfortunately just didn't have enough to get it done. A couple of things to talk about before we go back to the Game Day Men's Health text line. We got to talk about Michael Brown, Roman. He made the cut. He was a member in Switzerland. He's one of 12 players on the team that's going to be coached by Tommy Lloyd, who's the head coach at Arizona, and assisted by Grant McCaslin from Texas Tech and Micah Shrewsbury from Notre Dame. The Americans have drawn into Group D. They will square off against Australia, France, and Cameroon. They, since 2007, the USA has won, I guess, overall the USA has won the gold medal 8 times this event, most recently in 2021. But this is a star-studded team. You look at the roster, A.J. DeBance is on there. Morris Johnson's on there. Jasper Johnson, who's going to Kentucky, is on there. Tyron Stokes, who we hope is going to go to U of L, is on there. Great experience for Michael. The clips and the people talking about him who were in attendance for the roster cuts, it just makes you more excited. I mean, he crammed on Moreno, who's going to Kentucky. That clip is out there. Left-handed. I also love. Have you watched the first episode of the new whatever the series that U of L basketball is putting out on social media, the Cardinal. I can't remember what it's called.
Commitment.
Cardinal Commitment. Thank you. The episode 1. Have you watched that yet?
I haven't watched it yet.
So it's just like it was last year, where they're talking to Eli Foy and they're going over all the early days of the summer workouts, and they spend time with like 2 specific players, and it's Javon Hadley and it's Michael Brown. And so Hadley's talking about knowing a little bit about the process because he went through it last year and trying to help out the newcomers and all this stuff. And Michael's talking about it first days, and they follow the team, going to the baseball game and all this stuff. And then at the end of the video, which I'm sure they would not have kept this in there if something had happened, but he's talking about going and trying out for Team USA, and he's like, we'll go to Switzerland and we'll do this and all this stuff. And he's like, if I make the team, we'll do this. And he goes, and I will make the team. Like he just like puts it out there point blank. He's like, if I make the team, he's like, and I will make the team. Like we'll spend 2 weeks and then I'll get back here and then it'll be time to go. Is there any part of you, Roman, that is kind of like cool, but also I'd rather have you here in Louisville for these weeks?
Obviously, I'd rather have him in Louisville for these weeks, but I think it's even cooler to have a player who's on that path. If everything goes as how it can and should and how I think it will for him, God forbid a major injury, right? He's going to be on the USA rosters, on the U20 this and the U21 USA roster. He's going to be a lottery pick if he has a good year. So knowing that he already loves Louisville, seems to be a lot. He's already super, super bought into what we've got going here and is excited to be here and ready to be the man here. The fact that that's probably going to be something that is his connection to here will be permanent because of what he is as a player going forward. I'm not mad at it. Just don't get hurt. Don't roll an ankle.
I'm not either. I mean, this is, like you said, this is the path that players take who are on the path to be lottery picks. And we've not had a guy like that in so long. We've not had a freshman like this really ever in the one and done era who's come here with this much hype. I mean, Samaro Samuels maybe back in the day. But, like, this is a guy that people are pointing to and saying he's going to be a star in college in his 1 year, and he's probably going to be a top 15 pick in the NBA draft next year. And I think that stock has only been rising in recent months. I think you also look at the players that have played on this team over the years, and you've seen how their college teams have not been adversely affected by them spending 2-3 weeks away from summer workouts and doing all this stuff. So, like, I think it's fine. I mean, Kentucky's been dealing with this for a while, and they've had good teams. So if they're not having an issue with it, then I don't think we should have an issue with it. I'm trying to look up. Do we remember?
It's interesting. The one aspect that's like Pat Kelsey's never had a point guard this good. Now he's having to wait to really, really get to get him in the gym, or having to have that paused, right? Because he's been in the gym, now he's going to have to be gone for some time. And I get there's only so much you can do in the time frame anyway, but he's never had to deal with a player that's already established, already a part of his program, but now leaving to go play genuine competitive basketball for something fully unrelated, and then planning to come back. So it's new for Pat Kelsey too.
I'm trying to find who was on last year's team, because I remember Kenai trying out and not making the team. And it was star-studded. So like Darius Acuff was on the team last year, who was at the time like a UK. Morris Johnson, who now is going to go to Illinois, from Illinois to Michigan. Jeremiah Fears, who we saw last year on the team. Shelton Henderson, who's going to Miami now, but was committed to Duke. So this is if you make the team, you play on the team. Nate Ament was on the team last year. Jasper Johnson, who's back on it this year, was on it last year. This is the path that you go. 2022 team. If you look at that, the American team that year was led. I mean, you've got Jared McCain, Brandon Garrison, Khalil Ware, Seth Trimble, Cam Whitmore, Ty Rogers. This year's team seems like it's even more stacked. I'm excited for Michael. If something happened to him in these games, I'll never forgive USA basketball, Roman.
No.
Never. These videos that are coming out of practice, too, I'm just like, they're getting me going. I love today. Kason Pryor should be said on Instagram, posted a video of him dunking for the first time since he got hurt. I mean, it wasn't like a gigantic throwdown. It was him very gingerly going up for a 2-hand cram. But still, that's a mile marker in the recovery process to get him ready for this upcoming season. But
his arms are looking bigger too.
You think so?
A little bit.
You been working out a little bit? We also, since I've been gone, we officially have Sananda Fru and Vangelis Zugris on campus. They're here. We can finally start worrying about other stuff. We don't need to talk about that. We do not have Muhammad Kamara on campus yet. He's the one guy who hasn't arrived. But besides that, we're all systems go. There are rumors still about that 13th scholarship out there and how it may be utilized. We're still talking to that kid from Bowling Green. Maybe that's going to be the player that we add. But it's so far, we're in good shape. I'm very excited about the months ahead, finding out more about what's going on with football and finding out more about what's going on with basketball. Lots of excitement. Lots of stuff to talk about. 502-414-1450 is the Game Day Men's Health text line. We'll get back to you guys now. Don't want to make you wait. Texter says, Pacers fan here. J-Dub is extremely overrated. I don't think so.
I don't think he's overrated.
I loved his interview after the game with SVP. He's a super, super insightful guy.
First 40-point finals game in 2 years, I think they said.
Really?
Yeah. The only one who had one this series. Shea didn't have 40 at all. I think 2 years ago that would mean somebody in that Nuggets Heat series had 40. I just can't remember who. But yeah.
Do you know
he's a budding young star? He's definitely on path to becoming an all-star. So I think that's exactly where he kind of should be rated, and he proved that this series. I think he had a bad Game 7. Or not bad, but lackadaisical Game 7.
Do you know where Jalen Williams went to college?
Santa Clara. I think they this series they mentioned it a lot.
It's just crazy. It's also crazy that he went to Santa Clara and he was a 3-year player there who developed slowly. Sometimes guys like that will catch on in the league. Very rarely do guys like that with that background become stars in the NBA. And he seems, like you said, to be on the path to being a star.
He made a couple comments in series and post-game press conferences he's never won anything. That Western Conference Finals was the first thing he'd ever won in basketball. So I think that's kind of cool story there. That's great drafting that they've done there and developing. I think he's I've seen some comments that are acting like he's already in that all-star category from this playoff run in this series, but I don't think it's that. I think he's a budding young star. That's exactly what he is.
Yeah, West Coast Conference basketball. That's just what it does. Who's the Herb Sendek was his coach out there. Shout out to Herbie. Texas, hey Mike, it's Sex During the Game guy here. What's up, Sex During the Game guy? My wife worked late last Wednesday, which obviously caused the Cards to lose. She walked in the door with 2 outs in the ninth. There wasn't much that I could do at that point. Well, congratulations. You lost us the College World Series. Actually, your wife did.
Yeah, she's got to know that.
You got a plan.
Yeah, the game Wednesday, she's got to know that the game's on.
Planned sex is a big part of marriage. You've got to, especially when sports are involved. You got to figure that out ahead of time. Texas, watching Mike cry tears of joy when the Heimer Candelario news came through made YouTube worth it. That did not happen. Did not happen. I am excited about this. I'm not even I'm happy that we did the right thing. But it's embarrassing that we're still wasting so much money on this guy. The Reds just suck at everything. They just do. Texas, how long before that bum LeBron tries to join the Thunder or Pacers? That's Chris the Plumber.
I don't think he's moving to a small market.
He also said, welcome back, Mike. How was the No Kings riot? Do you feel better? Just kidding. I hope you had a good trip. But thank you, Chris. Said, all U of L sports are on the rise. Meanwhile, in Lexington, UK remains a one-trick pony.
There's women's basketball team.
I was about to say, their second trick is going to be women's basketball.
Yeah.
Kenny Brooks is the real deal, and he's getting them some top-tier talent.
Yeah, they're spending money now.
They're going to be good in women's basketball for time to come. I feel pretty confident in saying that. That's going to be they will be a legit rival now, as opposed to, before last year us having that 58-game winning streak over them. He will make them very, very good. They're not going anywhere. I think that's going to be their second best sport moving forward.
Yeah.
Football is going to be tough to compete, even if you bring in a exciting new coach. Baseball, Mingione is very up and down. They had a great year 2 years ago, a little bit of a disappointing year this year. SEC's incredibly tough to compete with. I think women's basketball is going to be kind of their thing. Texture says, interesting topic. Initial player rankings for NCAA Football 26 have been released. Here are U of L's top players. Of note, Isaac Brown is the 13th highest ranked player in the game. All right, so Isaac Brown is our highest ranked player. Are you looking at the text? Don't look at it if you have.
I'm looking at the screenshot. Yeah.
Okay, I was going to quiz you. So Isaac Brown's our highest ranked offensive player, 93 overall. Like the texter said, 13th highest ranked player in the game. I am very surprised by our second highest ranked offensive player.
Me too. I would not, if you made me guess, because I did see the leaked speed ratings for just Isaac Brown and Duke Watson last week.
Yeah.
That speed rating would have made me think that Duke probably would have been right there underneath Isaac Brown, but that's not who we've got.
Chris Bell, an 89 overall, is the second highest ranked player in the game. The third highest ranked player is also an offensive player. It's Colin Lacey as an overall 88. I mean, I kind of would have thought, I know it's tough to rank like linemen and stuff like that. Nobody really cares. But like Pete Niger was really good for us last year. I thought maybe he would be like the second best offensive player. I mean, Chris Bell, I know. Here's the problem with like he's a great video game player, right?
Yeah.
He checks every box.
Fast, speedy,
Huge, like
strong, can jump.
He's built like an NFL wide receiver. He should be great for 50-50 balls, and he doesn't have the stats to back it up though, as of yet. I'm a little surprised that they gave
I guess
him
they take highlights into account for this too, maybe? Because he did have a lot of highlight. Like, if you look at just his best plays last season, you think this is one of the best receivers in the planet.
I mean, same with Colin, though. Colin Lacey, I mean, the one-handed catch against Notre Dame doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah.
And the touchdown in the Sun Bowl. Ooh.
The return, too.
The return, yeah. The defensive side of the ball. I'm not surprised by who our highest-ranked defensive player is. Stanquan Clark is an 87 overall. TJ Quinn is an 85 overall. So is Clev Lubin. I mean, a lot of hype for Clev Lubin, the biggest transfer portal addition on the defensive line. We didn't really see him in the spring. He's an 85 overall.
I like what I see. I think Isaac could be more of like a 96. But I like what I see.
I'm with you on being surprised that Duke Watson isn't one of the three highest-ranked players.
Yeah.
Just based on what he did towards the end of
It's got to
last
be
season.
because like when you give somebody strength, speed, and acceleration,
You got to
like
make the game fair.
Chris Bell, I'm surprised it's only an 89 because of how strong and fast he technically is. If you're just going based on physical attribute ratings, that's like he doesn't have like tendency ratings or stuff that's going to be allowing him to be that high. So it's all his physical attributes that get him that high.
I feel like it'll definitely be a type of thing where kids who play the game but don't follow Louisville football all that closely will be like, Chris Bell's incredible. There's gonna be a lot of pressure on Chris to actually live up to his video game hype once he steps on the field in the summer, because people are gonna be like, this breakout star. He's gonna be look at this guy. He catches everything. He's huge. Gets separation on everybody. I hope it comes to fruition. I would love to see what Miller Moss is going to be. We'll find out at some point in time. I love, we talk about like the U of L staff, I mean the U of L sports across the entire athletic program being on such stable footing right now. I love seeing the sports supporting one another again. It's always kind of happened to a degree, but it doesn't feel like it hasn't felt like it did in our heyday in a while. And I saw like Thomas Carr, the U of L basketball assistant, when this came out about Isaac Brown being a 93. He's like 7 points too low. I was like, hell yeah, go get him. And we've got the basketball team going to the baseball games. It feels good to see everybody supporting everybody again.
Definitely.
And it's easier to do when everybody's successful. Texter says, 502-414-1450. Halliburton's injury, considering the stage and how he was playing, was the most gut-wrenching injury since fill in the blank. I don't have an answer. Not sure I ever remember going down like that in those circumstances, especially since he started the game on fire. I hated it so much for him and the Pacers faithful.
We've got a text up above somewhere. I just saw when it first came in. It's about Anna DeBeer.
Oh, yeah.
That's similar, but that's the game before, right?
It was the game before.
Not in the last game.
It was the game before, and then there was all a question about whether or not she was going to play in the championship game.
When it was a high ankle sprain, there was no chance she was going to
play.
So that's not really as close. That's not Game 7 is not anywhere near Game 7 in a pro sport. So I can't even equate that to a Game 6 in a college sport or a second to last game of the series. I nothing comes to mind, Mike. Like, is there like a Super Bowl where a key player got hurt?
The only thing that I could think of was when This is before your time, I guess. Ted Ginn Jr. for Ohio State, when they played Florida in the 06, it was in 07, but the 06 season national title game that we should have been playing in, he returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown and then got hurt in the celebration. Now, they got their ass kicked, and like it wasn't like he was a quarterback. I mean, Troy Smith was the Heisman winner. He played terrible for them in quarterback in that game. But it was like that was the only comparable one that came to my mind of like a key player who was playing very well in a winner-take-all championship game, and then went down very early, and then his team just could not recover. I don't think Ted Ginn would have made a difference in that game the way that Halliburton would have made a difference last night. But that was the only one that I could come up with. I'm sure there are more. I'm sure there are better ones, but that was the first thing that popped into my mind.
It's up. I mean, all the major injuries, like you don't see it in Game 7s or championship games.
I mean, the Kevin Durant one.
But that was Game 6.
Game 6. Yeah. Texas FYI to anyone who doesn't know, but it sounds like you can watch all the USA Under-19 games on the FIBA Basketball YouTube channel. Let's go, Mike. Well, that's good.
That's cool.
I'm excited for that. I mean, we're talking about ways to, like, you get through the next 65 days or so. Baseball has helped significantly. It's late June. We're finally talking about not having an active U of L sport from the past athletic season. But I think we'll follow the games that Michael Brown's playing in. We've got TBT coming up next month. That'll be fun. And then you'll start to have fall camp, and you'll get some news out of football when that happens, and that'll be good. We're going to make it through. We also need to start doing maybe we'll do the first one next week, bring back the Rewinder series, where we give everybody the homework assignment, and we'll watch an old game from the past and then talk about it on the show. I think, Roman, you had said that you want to do, like, football first this year.
Yeah.
Like a Charlie Strong era game, right?
Yeah.
We'll make that happen. Roman Hader texted in, said, I was at a Pacers watch party last night here at the Fieldhouse. The place was electric, and then you could hear a pin drop. It was just devastating.
Crazy.
I cannot imagine going through that. It's like Roush is actually texting. Is Roush going at it with Roman Hader on the text line?
Oh, because his intro text.
He texted in earlier, Roman Hader did, and said, welcome back, Mike. Do you think Roush and the rest of the Kentucky Troll Call and KSR douchebags would tweet more about UK than Louisville if Louisville fans stopped giving them interactions? And then Roush said, you mad? And he said, I've got no reason to be. And he said, you sound mad. Is Roush patrolling the text line during our show?
He is.
Clearly he is. Kentucky, his phone. Kentucky fan media is on tilt. They are absolutely on tilt. And it's been beautiful to follow. All right, we have to go to break now, don't we?
Yes.
5 o'clock hour is next. We'll have a few more texts from you guys. Then we'll prep and set the stage for Mondays with Dalton Pence for the 90-minute show that he'll have with Roman. Keep it locked in. Keep the text coming, 502-414-1450. Don't let Nick Roush get you down. Don't let him scare you away. We'll be back after this here on 1450 and 96.1 Big X Sports Radio.
Just the Cats with
The 5 o'clock hour here, the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical, 1450, 96.1 Big X Sports Radio, United Mechanical. Louisville's MVP for commercial and industrial HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and refrigeration needs. Give them a call today at 502-339-1133. The Game Day Men's Health text line is 502-414-1450. Before we get back to you guys, I've got to ask, Roman, how did our Big X Big Bets do last week?
Not the greatest week.
Oh,
Not a terrible week. We went 1-1 on Friday. Normally we have good Fridays, but 1-1 on Friday, and then 0-1 yesterday with the Pacers. So 1-2 on that.
How confident are you moving into the summer portion of the season with your gambling now that the NBA is off the table?
I'm all right. I'm locking into the pitchers. I'm seeing, I'm learning, getting back to my baseball knowledge, Mike, and knowing what pitchers are doing what batters are doing what teams are seeming like they're consistently winning and not winning every other game. And we'll be good. We had a good MLB week, not last week, but the week before that. A really good MLB week the week before that. So we'll get active.
Okay. All right.
Only one play so far for today, but we'll figure it out.
Keep it locked here for Mondays with Dalton Pence to find out that one play.
No. Mondays we give them out on base.
Oh, you're gonna
no Roman
recap
day today, so I can't throw that on Dalton, but I can throw that on you.
Did you guys talk about Jair Alexander going to the Ravens?
We did not. We mentioned it, but we didn't discuss it.
I'm very excited. I love the fact that he took less money to play with Lamar and the Ravens.
Yeah.
I think a lot of Ravens fans, when they saw that this was happening, that he'd locked Jair, they're like, we don't have enough money to justify doing this. He's the highest paid quarterback in the league formerly. All this time, and then they saw the deal. They're like, "Oh, okay, cool." Like Jair very clearly was like, "I want to go win a championship somewhere. Lamar's my guy. I want to go play with him." And was like, "I'm willing to give up $2 million at least just to make that happen." So he's got a 1 year, $4 million contract, and then up to $6 million, extra $2 million in incentives.
And the Ravens needed him.
And their secondary should be nasty now with Jair. I mean, it was already kind of nasty before, but having him at corner. I think it's fantastic. And this is just going to add to the Ravens being, if you don't have a team and you're a Louisville fan, they're your adopted team. I mean, I say this, the Lions are still my team. We have to play the Ravens again this year. But if they don't win it, yeah, I'm all in on the Ravens. Very cool to see two of the, this would be one of those deals, though, Roman, where if, let's say they go out there, they finally do it, Lamar wins the Super Bowl, Jair has an all-pro season, and those two guys are just fantastic. It would just, you would think it'd be great for Louisville because everyone was talking about them being Louisville teammates. Everyone's going to go back to that 2017 team and be like, oh, my God, they won 8 games. And then they gave up 1 million points per game. What the hell was going on? That will become a secondary storyline to the whole, Louisville teammates getting it done at the highest level storyline.
Yeah.
And that's, it's whatever. It look bad for Bobby Petrino. I guess it won't look
really cool if they won a ring together.
It would be very, very cool. I don't think we have enough time. I want to make sure that we get to all the text today. There were things that happened that were said with the Big Dog and Jeff Brom press conference from over the weekend, or I guess from Friday, that I was going to talk about, but I don't think we have enough time. We'll get there. Big Dog's out here just taking shots still left and right.
Rashawn met the Big Dog.
Rashawn met the dog?
Met the dog last night.
How did he say? What happened?
Well, I don't want to give out too much, but
just give me something.
Said he met the dog last night when he was out watching the NBA Finals game, and they had a great chat. He's a super cool guy, and he's looking forward to being on the show potentially one day.
Oh.
Here on Wake Up 502.
Little dog barking Saturday morning.
Wake Up 502. I got a call from Joe Kelly, the person who introduced me to Rashawn in 2023, and we've got we just found out yesterday, I don't want to give out too much stuff just before it's fully confirmed, but tailgate spot for every show.
Ooh.
So, yeah, excited for football season coming up.
The one quote that I did love from the dog from over the weekend was talking about Jeff Brom. I mean, he clearly thinks the world of Jeff Brom. But he's like, you give this guy some players, I really, really believe that you're going to be surprised. I won't be surprised, but you guys will be. I'm excited to see where it's going.
I really think we could take this thing up a level.
I mean, he basically is like, if you give Jeff the rosters that they have at the 10 most powerful programs, he'd win a national title. That's what the Big Dog is implying every time he opens his mouth. And
I think we can turn it up a level.
Are you doing Big Dog impressions?
But he said it 4 times. To 3 different questions. Very different questions. And I just think we could take this thing up a level.
He also I don't think he was mad, but you see him like kind of talk to Matt McGavick.
Yeah.
Asked what his name was.
Yeah.
I like that.
We talked about that on Friday.
Oh, I love it. It's wonderful. 502-414-1450 is the Game Day Men's Health text line. Let's get back to you guys. It's the return show. I want to make sure that everybody has their voices heard. You got about 20 minutes to make those thoughts heard. Well, I got actually a little bit less than that because we want to make sure that get Roman's big bets out there as well. Texter says, this is, I think the text you were referring to earlier. We literally just went through this with the Pacers moment with Anna DeBeer injury in volleyball. It was great that we beat Pitt, but we weren't the same team without Debo. Watching the championship game was heartbreaking. I think it broke DBK too. Yeah, like you said, though, I know that we didn't know officially that she wasn't going to play until the game, but like we pretty much knew that she never set foot on the court for the national title game. So it's a little bit different than starting out hot with Tyrese Halliburton and then him going down in the first quarter of the game. But it's not a completely unfair parallel. God, it's always going to suck. We've had a great gigantic what ifs in all the other U of L sports. Volleyball now has its forever. What if Anna DeBeer doesn't get hurt? I think we would have won the national title. Texas, tough loss for the Cards, but I will always remember this team for one thing, and that's the Tucker Biven pitching performance in the top of the ninth to close the inning out. One of my all-time favorite individual performances in U of L history. Yeah, I mean, obviously I didn't get a chance to talk about this either, but you want to talk about, like, a gritty performance in the face of an all-is-lost moment. Once the air happens and the game's tied and they've got second and third and nobody out, I mean, I don't know how you were feeling, Roman. I kind of just, like, accepted defeat. I was like, well, they're definitely going to score at least one more run.
Yeah.
We're probably going to need to score 2 to tie and 3 to win in the home half of the ninth, and I don't know if we're going to be able to do that. And then Tucker Biffen goes out there, again, like, could have easily just quit at that point. Strikes out 2 guys, gets a pop out to get out of the inning, and then we walk it off in the ninth. That will forever go down as one of the more gutsy performances that I've seen from a U of L athlete in any sport. Texter says, I just spit out water all over my desk when Roman thought it was riddles about the sport of softball. Well, it's Monday for all of us. Podcast Random Thoughts guy says, suck it, Mike. Team Dan Fiona. Oh, my God. This is from last year. The Fiona the Hippo argument from the podcast. Danny claimed I was an idiot for not knowing who Fiona the Hippo is. And I was like, I don't think many people know who Fiona the Hippo is. And now there's an entire vending machine. Yeah, but this is at the zoo. Of course they're emphasizing Fiona the Hippo at the Cincinnati Zoo. But she's got her own vending machine. Ridiculous. Absurd. Awful. Whatever. Texture says, Virginia Tech bowl game ankle stomp. Yeah, I mean Marcus Vick stomping on Elvis Doomer. I think he still played, though. I could be wrong about that. I know he went out for a little bit, but I think he ended up playing through the pain a little bit. I mean, the big what if is why didn't Marcus Vick get thrown out of the game? Because if he gets thrown out of the game, we definitely win. And he ended up playing really well in that game, which was even more annoying. Virginia Tech, just that whole game. Or maybe this is you responding to the team that you irrationally hate. Because this makes sense. Like
that's the irrational hate.
Okay, I totally agree with that one. I look at Virginia Tech football differently now after that game than I did before. Like, I thought the Michael Vick teams were cool. I was definitely rooting for them in the '99 national title game. And after they beat us in the Gator Bowl and behaved, it wasn't just the Vick stomp either. It was, I mean, they had a kid get thrown out. They were cheap. They tried to kill Hunter Cantwell. I've never really forgiven them. Like I instantly get like a gross feeling in my stomach when I see Virginia Tech football because of that game. That's a great one. I do. They deserve it. They're terrible. Texas, the North Florida game was the Damian Lee, Trey Lewis led team. Trent Mackey was the Ospreys' fiery three-point shooter. We narrowly led at halftime before pulling away. Yeah, I hate them. I hate that team. I hate those kids, those frat kids. They're terrible. They were awful. Texas, did Dan McDonald earn a lifetime contract with this postseason run? No. I mean, I don't think it's that much. But I do think, like, okay, let's say for the sake of this conversation, Roman, that we start off slow next year. Like we don't perform well at the Shriners Classic. We lose a couple early series, and the team is underperforming. you can't just immediately pivot back to we got to fire Dan McDonald. We got to move in a different direction. Like I think he's earned the right to coach through some hard times if they do happen to come about over the next couple of years. I feel like that's fair. Disagree?
I agree.
I noticed you kind of hesitated there. Though.
No, I agree.
Now, if we like miss the NCAA tournament 2 years in a row, then I think you've got to be like, all right, like was that just kind of a fluky run? I mean, hell, like Mississippi State fired Chris Lemonis 3 years after he won the program's first national title because they felt like they were heading in a poor direction. I do think though that he's certainly earned himself some leeway, but I don't think we're going to have those terrible times anymore. I think at the very least we'll be top 25 good moving forward. And we won't be flirting with missing the NCAA tournament. Hopefully, I'm not wrong about that. Texas, regarding Coastal Carolina's catcher framing pitches, when he jerks it up 6 inches, it's cool. But when I do it, I get kicked out of Dave & Buster's. It's nice to know that the text line hasn't lost any horniness since I've been gone. Appreciate that. Never changed, guys. Texas, we just got different strokes in New Albany, and I love it.
It's great. Very affordable.
It is. They used to have like a couple of par 3 holes over there back in the day, which I sort of miss, but still a very cool place to go and stroke some balls. Dexter says, Peter Michael was, I think, second on the team in starts, and he'd been really good at times. He had been. Still, I'm surprised he didn't get the ball. Texas, seeing how Coastal was handled by LSU, would that have been us had we made it? I mean, they lost 1-0 and 5-3. They clearly were not the better team in those games, but, I mean, we would have been up against it against LSU. There's no question about it. They were the favorites coming to Omaha for a reason. It was them in Arkansas and then kind of everybody else, and I don't think there was any question they were the best team. But I think we could have competed. I'm not going to say that we would have won, but I think we could have competed. What did you think about the Coastal coach getting ejected in the first inning yesterday?
I didn't see it. My friends were talking about it.
It was terrible. It was awful.
I didn't see what happened.
So he's pissed off. They felt like they got – I think this was more about the game on Friday than it was on Saturday. They felt like they got some bad calls on Friday night in their 1-0 loss. And so first inning, there are a couple of borderline calls. The coach comes fuming out there. He's like, you've missed three calls. He's getting into it. An umpire just trips and falls down. And they said that he like made contact with him. And there's no contact whatsoever. The video doesn't lie. The guy just trips on his own accord. Some people were saying that he's flopping. And the coach after the game, I'm not the biggest fan of this coach. He's kind of, I thought, was sort of an ass the entire tournament. But he was like, you can't blame me for someone's lack of athleticism, which I thought was a good quote. Also, I mean, even if, unless he is, punching an umpire, you can't eject a coach in the first inning of the National Championship Series game. You've got to give him the benefit of the doubt. That's, the whole thing I thought was ridiculous. And they also ejected their third base coach. They were down to, their third bench coach leading the team for the rest of the game. The whole thing was ridiculous. But, whatever. Little Dumper said, "Can we get Chris the Plumber's thoughts about Trump bombing?" No, we're not doing that. We are not. I'm not opening that door. Texter says, "LOL. I used to get JJ Trainer scoop from a friend whose daughter dated JJ, or at least she thought she was dating JJ. He probably had some other girls and also thought they were dating him." Oh, the amount of times that this sort of thing happens is, like last year, there was a player who was dating a girl whose mom would always DM me with info about stuff, and I was like, I don't need to know this from my daughter's dating who so and so, and this is what he. And I was like, okay, I appreciate it, but maybe you're not the most trustworthy source. But do you? I mean, Roman, you're closer to the players' ages now, so I'm sure you had some. But when I was in my early 20s and even in high school, you would always find stuff out because girls you knew were have interactions with the basketball team, and so and so's dating him, and he said Patino kicked this guy out of practice, and I was like, oh, really? But when you get to be 40, you kind of it's more about the parents of players dating kids than it is about the actual players themselves.
These guys take advantage of being well known, Mike.
No question about that. Ben, look, it's part of the deal.
It is.
Texter says, where do you watch these Cardinal commit videos? They're on all of the U of L basketball social media channels. They're on YouTube. They're on the Twitter. They're on their Instagram. They're anywhere you can find a U of L basketball account, you can watch the video. Texter says, see link above for the rankings of the whole team. Oh, the whole team is ranked. Oh, here we go. For the video game. So, okay, so Duke Watson's at 87. So he technically is tied with Stanquan Clark for the 4th highest overall ranking on the team. I feel like that's fair. I'm surprised he's not ahead of Bell and Lacey, but 87 still feels pretty good. Miller Moss is an 85. Do we think that's okay? I feel like that's about right.
Yeah. That should be good.
He's a 79 in speed, accuracy, 83, awareness, 80. I don't think I remember looking at the full rankings last year. I can't imagine because they have injury rankings. I can't, like, what was Tyler Shuck last year? Like a 13 in injury ranking? Like, he had to have been the lowest injury ranking you can possibly give on the game. But if you look at the 10 highest ranked players for Louisville in the upcoming college football video game, Isaac Brown 1, Chris Bell 2, Colin Lacey 3, Stanquan Clark and Duke Watson are tied for 4th. TJ Quinn and Clev Lubin and Miller Moss are tied for 5th. And then Jordan Gerard's an 84. Denzel Lowry is an 83. Pete Niger is an 82. Renee Conga is an 81. Tyan Holloway, who I don't think is on the team anymore. They didn't bring him back, did they? After the assault dismissal? I don't think he's on the team, but he's in the game, and he's an 81. And then Jacob Stewart and Renato Brown are both up there at 81s. The only other players ranked as an 80 or above, Jaleel Skinner at tight end, and JoJo Evans, who definitely is not on the team anymore, is an 80. Texter says, Michael Brown called his shot about making the under-19 team at the end of the Cardinal commitment episode. Definition of aura. Yeah, he did. That was very, very cool. I liked it. Texter says that Just the Cats promo is Kentucky media really trying to spin the Tom Jurich coming back to Louisville headline. That's crazy. They would even think twice about that. I just heard that for the first time. And why are they even talking about that? Like, there's just nothing going on. I missed a full week of UK fan media just talking constantly about Louisville, which I hate, but I'm sure there'll be more of it this week. Texas says Isaac Brown gets the most love on this team, as he should, but in my opinion, I think Duke Watson could be just as good or better than him if he's given the same number of snaps this year. I feel like this is going to be an opinion that we hear more and more as the summer goes on, where it becomes like and I'm not saying it's wrong, but I think that people are going to do the thing where it's like, we hear so much about Isaac Brown and how good he is, that there's almost like a fatigue factor, and people are doing well, actually, like Duke Watson may be better, and he may be. Like I can see why people are saying that he's a better NFL prospect, but Isaac Brown, I mean, I can't get over how quickly he changes directions without missing a beat. Like I haven't seen a player run like that in the open field, and I'm not making a comparison directly, but his ability to change direction without missing like any sort of acceleration reminds me of Lamar, and we've not had a player who can do that since Lamar. Texter says we just added Eastern Michigan and NJIT in men's basketball. Ooh, scheduling news. I don't hate this. Eastern Michigan, I mean, they were bad. They've been bad the last couple of years.
I didn't see this.
I didn't either. If this is true, we're scheduling. I think with these bye games, the goal is to schedule like top 200 teams and not like teams that are between 200 and 360 or whatever it is. Eastern Michigan was 277 on Ken Palm last year. NJIT, I think, was worse. NJIT was one of the worst teams in college basketball last year. They went 6-25 in the America East. They were 353 out of 364. Okay. I don't like this if this is true. Why? Because NJIT is an awful basketball program. Like that is a team that will tank your net ranking a little bit, or has the potential to tank your net ranking. You got to avoid scheduling these types of teams. You want games against teams that you feel like you'll beat, but that have top 200 overall net profiles, so they don't like absolutely hurt your computer rankings. this is via Jeff Goodman. He says the Louisville. So technically, our thing with Cincinnati is a multi-team event. Okay, I don't know if we're playing these teams though. Oh yeah, we are. So this is the multi-team event that we'll play in. So we're definitely not going to play in like a big feast week event. So we will play Cincinnati, Eastern Michigan, and NJIT. All four of the teams in this event are going to play a round robin deal. Well, I don't love that. Eastern Michigan maybe will be
invitational with neutral courts.
Yeah.
NGIT I feel is unnecessary.
Eastern Michigan was bad last year. It's a MAC team. They shouldn't be that bad. But Stan Heath is a terrible coach. I think he's still there. Yeah. Here's Mike. Why did you delete your tweet praising Trump for the Iran strikes? And do you really think it was necessary to add the hashtag revival of the Bush era? Stop. Texture says the Cards lost because Roman didn't do his civic duty and chug a loco when the Cards were trailing. Look, we tried this with basketball. It didn't work. Yeah, the basketball chug made it clear that this is a football only deal. Texture, glad you're back, Mike. Hope you enjoyed Hilton Head. Since you left, it appears Kentucky fans have monopolized Big X advertising with anti-Tom Jurich rhetoric. What's the deal? Do you need me to pool some coin for a replacement ad? Maybe we can run a spot for my latest idea, Michael Brown and Isaac Brown's NIL partnership with UPS. What can the Browns do for you? Not the first person to think of that, but it would be good. Texas says he was ejected before the tripping. Oh, really? I thought it was for the contact. My bad. Texas, it had to be done, little dumper. It had to be done, from Chris the Plumber. Texas says, Mike, can I get in contact with your Red Rock plug? And by plug, I mean the contact you mentioned on your show June 30th. No, he's already established. He's not for everybody. He's just for the show. It's our guy. We can't share. Texas, sure, the 2017 team struggled, but to have over $1 billion in NBA salary come through your school and only get one title, that's pricey. That is pricey. Eastern Michigan and NJIT are part of the invitational with the neutral game versus Cincinnati. Those are NJIT. Maybe EMU can be better this year. NJIT, I don't see them being better. It's a bad program. Bad athletic program. All right, let's get to Big X Big Bets.
All right, Mike.
What do you got today?
Got one play here that I'm really liking for a later game tonight. Not much later. 7:40. Mariners Twins. Brian Wu on the mound.
Woo, Brian Wu.
1.12 ERA. He's been nice. He's had 6 Ks in 2 of his last 3 outings. His line's 5.5 tonight. He's going for 6 Ks tonight against the Twins.
You love Brian Wu.
I love Brian Wu. Brian Wu's getting the job done tonight with 6+ Ks. Get that down plus money right now. Other play for tonight. We're on the boy Nick Lodolo on the mound tonight for the Cincinnati Reds. Mike, his line for recorded outs, 16.5. We're taking it over. He's getting out of that 6th inning. He's not going to allow many runs at all tonight in his while he's out there, and he's going to cover the 16.5 recorded outs.
So what's the over-under again?
16.5.
So they're saying that he's going to basically get through the first 2 outs of the 6th.
Yeah.
Now he's not pitched. He's not pitched past the 6th all season, but
he's getting through it, Mike.
He's finished 6 innings in 3 of his last 4 starts. All right, I don't hate that bet. He's pitched pretty well, but it is the Yankees. This is the one game that I feel like I'm excited about Burns tomorrow, but he's a rookie making his debut against the Yankees.
Yeah,
we're going up against the Winnings guy whose ERA is like 19 or whatever. I feel like we need to win this game. I'll let you pick it then. 7:10, first pitch, Great American Ballpark. Yankees, Reds. Yankees are still favored, but the Reds do seem to have an advantage in the pitching matchup. Do the Reds get it done tonight?
I think they do, Mike. If they get the job done tonight, they're going to win this series that starts tonight with Lodolo on the mound. Might be a little bit of a high-scoring game.
Look, it's not an NL Central opponent, so I feel kind of confident. We played pretty well against everybody who's not in our own division. So, damn Cardinals. I've been a Cardinals fan at Hilton Head. I was like, I hate you so much. Stop with this. I think the Reds get it done tonight. I'm with you, though. Relatively high scoring. Give me the Reds 7, the Yankees 4. Would love to win this series. We will have, again, reminder, Tom Jurich on the show tomorrow at 4:30. You're not going to want to miss that. He'll talk about his time at Louisville, talk about what he's been up to since then. You're also not going to want to miss what's up next here on the Big X. Dalton Pence in studio with Roman Kelly for a 90-minute show. They're going to take you all the way up until 7 o'clock. Enjoy all of that. I'm back tomorrow at 3:30. I'll talk to you then. Thanks so much for spending some time with us. I said 3:30. I mean 2:30. Talk to you then. Go Cards.
Go Cards.
Mike Rutherford Show was brought to you